Family cultivation. My mobile phone traveled through time. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26. The Tyranny of the Purple Mansion Ancestor. It is not easy to be a casual cultivator. They often encounter murder and treasure stealing outside, and often face various problems such as lack of resources, insufficient skills, insufficient spiritual stones, etc. Many casual cultivators died outside. Even Han Peo Peo, who was a casual cultivator and worked alone, had a certain ability to protect himself in the world of cultivation after building his foundation. There are two main types of casual cultivators who live a comfortable life in the world of cultivation. One type is like Han Peo Peo, who has top level immortal tools and no shortage of resources. The other type is like a certain cultivator who has a top level cave heaven at the beginning. One day in the outside world is 1 year in the cave heaven, relying on the cave heaven to cultivate spiritual medicine and no shortage of resources. Otherwise, other casual cultivators are all miserable. There are a few casual cultivators who dare to fight, and with good opportunities, they directly become foundation building cultivators. After becoming a foundation building cultivator, this casual cultivator will find a way to get rid of the identity of a casual cultivator, create a cultivation family, and survive in the world of cultivation by relying on the power of the family and the collective power. There is no future in being a casual cultivator, just like there is no future in being a bandit, and if you want to be one, you should be a thief. The spiritual energy in the mountains outside is very thin, only 1/10 of the family's spiritual veins. The speed of cultivation is too slow in such an environment in the wild. Xuanji analyzed. The spiritual energy that seemed free and cheap in the past is now the most precious thing. A cultivator cultivates Taoism, wealth, companions, magic and land. Wealth is not only spiritual stones, but also spiritual pills, magic weapons, formations, etc. Companions are not only Taoist companions, but also disciples, teachers, clansmen, friends, etc. Only by relying on each other can they go long term. Dharma is the cultivation method, as well as pill recipes, formations, talisman albums, etc. Land is the sacred mountain, cave heaven and blessed land, etc. Without spiritual veins, cultivation is impossible. When the Lu family existed, there was no shortage of wealth, companions, magic and land. As long as you enter the key training stage, the family will give you a cave for free, and you can also plant spiritual fields at the foot of the mountain with peace of mind. At that time, I complained that I would have to be a farmer after cultivating. But now it seems that it is not happiness. Now I have become a casual cultivator. I may have just opened up a spiritual field and planted some spiritual rice when a cultivator bandit comes to rob. In Xiang Mountain, there are 3 level spiritual veins for cultivation, and 4 years is enough to upgrade 1 level, but in the outside world, it takes 20 years to upgrade 1 level by absorbing the free spiritual energy from the outside world. In the past, on Xiang Mountain, because it was easy to get, it didn't matter. But now that the Lu family is ruined, they miss the old life. No wonder those big forces, after they were established, the first thing they did was to build spiritual veins. Brother, the Lu family has some industries outside, and there are some foundation building cultivators sitting in charge. We can rely on those uncles and aunts. Yifixu said. When the wall falls, everyone pushes it. If my Lu family was strong, those industries would not be a big problem, but now that the Lu family is ruined, those industries will be swallowed up by some forces. Some forces still have a little face and act tactfully, but some forces are much more shameless. Those industries may be attacked. The only lucky thing is that my father and mother are sitting in the market outside to avoid this disaster. Xuanji said. On Xiang Mountain, the Lu family cultivators suffered a devastating blow. If it were a key training cultivator, he might still be able to escape, but the chance of survival for a foundation building cultivator who was the target of sniping was almost zero. The first thing to do was to go to the Lu family market and look for other clansmen. After determining the target, they walked towards the Lu family market. The two kept a low profile along the way, and 2 days later, they arrived at a market in the Lu family. The once prosperous market was left with only ruins and a raging fire. The collapsed houses and charred bodies all showed the cruelty here. Not good. This market in the Lu family was attacked by the Purple Mansion cultivator. Completely destroyed. Xuanji looked a little gloomy. This market in the Lu family was usually mainly for casual cultivators to communicate. There were shops, spiritual fields, caves, etc. here. The Lu family spent a lot of energy to build this market. Under this market, there was a secondary spiritual vein. A formation was laid here to protect the market. 7 or 8 foundation building cultivators might not be able to break through this market. It can be said that the defense is strong and solid. But when the Purple Mansion Patriarch took action, no one could resist. When the Purple Mansion Patriarch came, he relied on his tyrannical power to break the formation, destroyed this market, and killed the Lu family monks here. Let's go. Xuanji walked again, and went to other industries of the Lu family. He arrived at a spiritual mine, where spiritual stones were buried underground, and needed to be excavated by monks. The Lu family could excavate more than 20,000 spiritual stones every year. But when he arrived here, a huge palm print appeared above the mine vein, causing the mine vein to collapse, and the Lu family monks were buried in it. He arrived at another red copper mine, where red copper was produced as a main material for refining tools, but it was also destroyed, and heading for destruction. He arrived at several other industries of the Lu family, all of which were destroyed, and the monks there were killed. After walking for a month, he found that all the monks in the Lu family's industries were killed. According to the crime scene, these cases occurred on the same day. In other words, the Purple Mansion Patriarch walked around with a sword in all directions, and in just a short time, he killed all the monks of the Lu family scattered everywhere, leaving nothing behind. I don't know if there are any foundation building monks alive in the Lu family. Xuanji sighed. The Lu family has more than 1,500 monks, but there are only more than 20 foundation building monks. These 20 or so foundation building monks are the foundation of the Lu family. Once all the foundation building monks of the Lu family have died, the Lu family will also be disqualified from being a cultivation family. The remaining 500 or so Lu family monks will become casual cultivators and perish in the fight. That Taoist hated the Lu family too much. If it weren't for the Danliang sect and the lack of time, the key training monks would have been killed one by one. Not only that, as the Lu family's strong men were killed, some of the Lu family's mines, spiritual fields, spiritual veins and other real estate were also occupied by other cultivation families. It can be said that when the Lu family fell, many people were full. Many people don't mind kicking someone when they are down and stepping on the corpse of the Lu family. Xuanji and Yifixu looked at each other, and a trace of bitterness flashed across their eyes. In the bitterness, the decorations changed, low-key and restrained, heading north, heading away from the Lu family. Now that the situation is unclear, it is best to lie dormant for a while and hide your cultivation. Hoo-hoo. In a cave, Xuanji hesitated slightly, but still took out a spirit stone, and began to absorb the spiritual energy in the spirit stone. Not only that, he also handed Yifixu 10 spirit stones and asked her to directly absorb the spirit stones to improve her cultivation. Brother, it's too extravagant to practice with spirit stones. Yifixu said. It's a bit extravagant, but this is the best way to digest spirit stones. Xuanji said, spirit stones are only money when they are spent. Spirit stones that are not spent are just stones. Yifixu felt a little distressed, but she still took out the spirit stone directly, began to absorb the spiritual energy, and directly improved her cultivation. In the world of cultivation, spirit stones are regarded as currency, and this currency is valuable. There are two main sources of spiritual stones in the world of cultivation. One is from underground, which is a naturally formed spiritual stone after a long period of sedimentation. The other is a man-made spiritual stone that has been compressed by cultivators and turned from gaseous to solid. A 1-inch cubic spiritual stone is considered a standard spiritual stone. A spiritual stone may not seem large, but the spiritual energy contained in it is enough for a foundation building cultivator to practice for a whole day. Of course, no cultivator would be so extravagant as to use spiritual stones directly for cultivation. Spiritual stones are not only a currency for trading, but can also be used to set up formations, cultivate spiritual veins, and quickly replenish insufficient true ki during battles. Without the spiritual veins of Xiang Mountain, if he only relied on absorbing spiritual energy from the outside world, it might take 10 years to upgrade to a small level. He couldn't wait that long. He could only absorb the spiritual energy in the spiritual stones to increase his cultivation speed. His behavior was a bit prodigal, but his cultivation speed was accelerated. Chapter 27 Wujia Fang Market. In this way, the two of them temporarily settled down in a cave. They began to absorb spirit stones and improve their cultivation. A piece of spirit stone can sustain the cultivation of a foundation building cultivator for a day, which shows how much spiritual energy it contains. After 3 days, the spiritual energy in a spirit stone was completely sucked dry. The spiritual energy was refined in the body, and after traveling through the meridians, it entered the 7th vortex and continued to settle. Xuanji was surprised to find that the speed of cultivation was a little faster. The spiritual energy contained in the spirit stone is purer and can be directly absorbed and converted into true ki, but the external spiritual energy has impurities, and after absorption, it must be continuously refined to remove impurities before it can be transformed into true ki. The speed of cultivation is more than 3 levels faster. In Xiang Mountain, it takes 4 years to upgrade 1 level, but it only takes 3 years to absorb spirit stones. The speed is faster, but it costs money. Consuming 120 spirit stones every year is too expensive. Xuanji's 7th level of ki training is only an annual salary of 50 spirit stones. If not, even if I had looted 10,000 spirit stones from the ancestors, I might not be able to support such waste. I felt a little distressed, but I soon made up my mind to continue squandering. I'm a rich man. As for using these spirit stones to go to the market to buy some resources to improve my cultivation, forget it. Buying less is not very useful because there are stocks in the storage bag, but buying more will cost a lot. It is easy to show up, and it may lead to a fatal disaster. Just stay here, it's good. I don't ask to survive until I'm invincible in the world, as long as I survive until I reach the 9th level of ki training. A year later, Yifixu encountered a bottleneck and was stuck at the peak of the 5th level of ki training, and it was difficult to enter the 6th level of ki training. That's not right. Isn't there no bottleneck before the nascent soul? How come it appears at the peak of the 5th level of ki training? Xuanji felt something was wrong and carefully checked Yifixu's body, but soon found that the true ki in Yifixu's Tanshan had weakened. The true ki has become weaker. Xuanji said uneasily, and could only use his mobile phone to find the answer. Ding dong. According to a book, the spiritual energy in the spirit stone is pure, and it does not need to be quenched and purified, and can be directly absorbed to improve cultivation. However, due to the lack of quenching and purification, the quenching of the meridians is relatively weak, and the true ki lacks sharpness and is relatively weak. Taking pills can increase the speed of cultivation, but there may be pill poison entering the body. Absorbing spirit stones can increase the speed of cultivation, but it will make the true ki relatively weak. Any behavior that takes shortcuts will pay a corresponding price. The mobile phone rang and gave the answer. Xuanji was slightly stunned, sliding the page, and the answer was recorded in a book. There are 100,000 books stored in the mobile phone. Xuanji has only read part of these 100,000 books. After all, if he reads them one by one, he may not be able to finish reading them in 100 years. In one of the books, it is recorded that the disadvantages of absorbing spirit stones for cultivation are that the spiritual energy in the spirit stones is too pure. There are no fish in clear water. Just like in the previous life on Earth, living in a sterile environment is not good. Drinking pure water every day is not good for the human body. The human body has appropriate bacteria and viruses, which are beneficial to human health, as long as they are not excessive. The spiritual energy of the outside world contains impurities, which need to be constantly refined and purified before it can be absorbed. Although the speed is slower, the meridians are also refined. Between each other, there are gains and losses. Xiaoxu, this is the price of taking shortcuts, but it can be compensated. You just need to keep polishing your true ki and use it to refine your meridians. It only takes 3 months to break through the bottleneck. Lu Xuanji said some opinions and views. Yi Feixu nodded. He began to polish his true ki and refine his meridians, and no longer deliberately pursued a breakthrough. About 3 months later, the bottleneck was broken, and he entered the 6th level of ki training naturally. In terms of time, 9 months were saved. Congratulations, you have entered the 6th level of ki training, Lu Xuanji said, but he was muttering in his heart. Stinky sister, the speed of cultivation is too fast. According to this rhythm, he will soon catch up with him, or even surpass him. Brother, I don't want to practice anymore. I want to go out and find the elders of the Lu family and the monks of the Lu family, Yi Feixu said. No, we have to practice to the 9th level of ki training at least. We are too weak. We may encounter some independent cultivators hunting us outside, and the monks of the family will besiege us. Without the 9th level of ki training as a foundation, we don't feel safe, Lu Xuanji said. But I'm impatient and can't practice with peace of mind next time, Yi Feixu said, feeling a little bored. Lu Xuanji was silent. Not only Yi Feixu, but Lu Xuanji was also a little impatient and couldn't practice with peace of mind. The inner demon is growing. There are dangers in seclusion and hard practice. Many monks have bred inner demons and died because of long-term seclusion and hard practice. After a period of hard practice, some monks will end their practice and enter the world to experience or participate in battles or cultivate their bodies and minds. More haste, less speed. The more anxious you are, the more likely you are to go astray. Originally planned to practice hard for 5 years and reach the 9th level of ki training in one fell swoop. We were going down the mountain at that time, but now it seems that it is impossible. Both of them are restless, full of distracting thoughts, and have problems with their state of mind. If they continue to practice in seclusion, they may go astray. Okay, then let's go out. Remember to keep a low profile. This is the Thunder God's talisman, this is the Teleport talisman, and this is the Vajra talisman. Remember to hold them. If you encounter an enemy that you can't beat, run away in time. It's not shameful to run away. If you keep the green mountains, you won't be afraid of running out of firewood. Before going down the mountain, Lu Xuanji handed over 3 talismans and kept reminding them. In short, keep a low profile. Among keeping a low profile, it is also the most important to save your life. Among the 36 strategies, running away is the best strategy. As for cross-level battles, life and death battles, etc., it is better to stay away. In this way, the two left the cave and walked towards the nearby town. Qingshu County is located near a plain. It has a warm climate, sufficient sunlight, and fertile land, which is suitable for the survival of the people. There are a large number of towns here, and mortals live in the towns. Occasionally, there are cultivators in the ki training period who appear in mortal villages and towns, and buy some daily necessities. In the county town, there is a first level spiritual vein, and some cultivators in the middle stage of ki training serve as county magistrates. There are many spiritual mountains around the plain, distributed around Qingshu County. On these spiritual mountains, some are cultivation families, and some are cultivation markets, all of which are guarded by cultivators. They are scattered around like a fortress, guarding the mortals of Qingshu County, to prevent them from being eaten by monsters, or being harmed by demons. The Xiang mountain of the Lu family is the strongest spiritual mountain among the surrounding spiritual mountains. It is like a nail, located in front of the 10,000 mountains, and has become one of the main strongholds to resist the beast tide. Lu Xuanji and Yi Feixu passed through a large number of mortal towns and headed south. It took about a month and they went around a lot of circles. Finally, they arrived at the edge of Qingshu County, and a cultivation market appeared. This cultivation market is called Wujia Market. This is a market of the Wu family. The Wu family is a big family in Qingshu County. The highest level in the family is only the 9th level of foundation building, but there is a purple mansion cultivator in Danyang sect, which is also a big family second only to the Lu family. not only in Qingshu County, but also in nearby Jianghan County, Pinggan County, etc. There are sacred mountains and industries. Today is the third update. Please recommend votes, monthly tickets, rewards, and follow-up reading. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28, Choosing a Cave. As they approached Wujiafang Market, they sensed some cultivators with ill intentions, and Lu Xuanji and his companions became more cautious. They were scattered cultivators, and they were very poor. Because they were poor, killing people for treasures was a common occurrence for scattered cultivators. Many scattered cultivators had rich combat experience, strong fighting ability, and were extremely cruel. Without much hesitation, Lu Xuanji stepped forward, paid to spiritual stones, received an iron plate, and entered Wujiafang Market. Wujiafang Market, located at the foot of Lingshan Mountain, has a second level mid-stage spiritual vein that can support 10 foundation building cultivators to practice. After entering here, Lu Xuanji took a breath, and felt the rich spiritual energy. The concentration of spiritual energy is more than 3 times that of the outside world, but it is not comparable to Xiang Mountain. Settling in Wujiafang Market, and absorbing the spiritual veins here, the speed of cultivation will increase a lot. It was estimated that with the rich spiritual veins here, it would take him 8 years to upgrade 1 level. Here, there are scattered cultivators scattered everywhere. In the market, there are shops, restaurants, various trading places, etc. There are monks here, low-level monks here. Many monks are only at the first level of key training, and there are some monks' families. It seems very lively here. Fighting is prohibited in the market. Even the boldest people will not commit crimes here. Walking on the left side of the square, there is a large stone tablet with about 18 rules of the market written on it. On the right side is written the price of the caves here. Chapter 29, Hunting Monsters. As we walked, we arrived at the top of the sacred mountain. The cave was located halfway up the mountain, and the number was written on it, 5. When we pushed open the cave, we found a furnace, underground fire, hot springs, and a bed made of warm jade. The overall look was quite simple, and the area was only 70 square meters. We went forward to open the spiritual cave, and immediately a stream of spiritual energy leaked out. Sensing the concentration of spiritual energy, Lu Xuanji frowned slightly and said, "The spiritual energy here is only 1/3 of that in Xiang Mountain. It's too thin. Brother, there's nothing we can do about it. Wujiafang City only has a second level mid-grade spiritual vein, but Xiang Mountain has a third level upper grade spiritual vein." Yifixu said, "Brother, I want to learn alchemy." After some hesitation, Lu Xuanji still said, "Xiaoxu, alchemy requires 2 major spiritual roots of wood and fire, with fire as the main and wood as the auxiliary. And you have a natural spiritual root with pure fire attribute, which makes you not suitable for alchemy at all. The Lu family is gone. I can't just sit back and enjoy the fruits of my labor. As long as I work hard, I can still become a top alchemist." Yifixu said firmly. "Okay." Lu Xuanji agreed, "But you have to remember that alchemy or weapon refining are just external things, just side jobs. Cultivation is the main job, and immortality is the foundation. Some alchemists are obsessed with alchemy and earning spirit stones, but ignore the improvement of their cultivation. It doesn't matter how many spirit stones there are, what matters is a strong cultivation. The Lu family was destroyed, and we became casual cultivators. We can't always be casual cultivators, but we must constantly improve our cultivation and build a foundation as soon as possible. When we become foundation building cultivators, we can also rebuild the Lu family." "I understand," Yifixu said firmly. Lu Xuanji gave him another instruction, and the two of them lived in Wujiafang City. Usually, cultivation is the main thing. As the cultivation level improves, you can continue to practice for 3 hours a day. After 3 hours, the meridians will ache slightly, and you can only stop. When you stop, you mainly plant 200 acres of spiritual fields. In the spiritual field, Baiyang rice is planted. In order to make the spiritual rice grow normally, it is necessary not only to control the amount of spiritual rain, the fertility of the land, light, etc., but also to apply fertilizer regularly to increase the fertility of the soil. The yield of Beiyang rice varies in the hands of different people. However, when Wujiafang City collects rent, it mainly collects 3 layers, based on the yield of 200 catties per mu, that is, 60 catties per mu. Whether it is an increase in grain production or a decrease in grain production, the rent is collected, based on 60 catties per mu. Most cultivators grow Beiyang rice, but the yield is only 150 catties per mu, but excellent spiritual plant husbands can produce 200 catties per mu. Xuanji relies on the 3 spiritual roots of earth, wood and fire, and is sensitive to water and soil, and the yield per mu reaches 230 catties, but with a mobile phone. Relying on destiny deduction, it can collect data on soil, air, light, spiritual energy concentration, seed conditions, etc., and deduce reasonable data to carry out scientific farming. The yield per mu reaches 250 catties. Looking at the yield per mu of spiritual rice, Xuanji immediately gave up the idea of being an alchemist and chose to be a spiritual plant husband directly. Being an alchemist may seem to be very glamorous, but in the early stage, you will face the problem of money burning difficulties, and in the middle and late stages, you will face the situation of shortage of spiritual medicine. In fact, many worlds of cultivation do not lack alchemists, but lack high-level spiritual plant husbands. High-level spiritual plant husbands are harder to find than alchemists and array masters. Just like the Lu family, because there is a second-level high-quality spiritual plant husband who is good at taking care of Lingsusi, the family can mature 2 Lingsusi every 20 years, and the alchemists have enough raw materials to refine foundation building pills. In terms of foundation building pills, the Lu family is basically self-sufficient, and sells excess foundation building pills in some years. Familiar with the nearby soil, water, light, spiritual energy and other conditions, Xuanji began to transform the spiritual field and plant white yang rice. At the same time, Yifixu began to try to refine pills, but failed dozens of times in a row, and not once succeeded, which was extremely miserable. The only lucky thing was that these medicinal materials were relatively cheap, and only lost 5 or 6 spiritual stones. This made Yifixu very disappointed. Xuanji had no choice but to go forward to comfort her. A person with a natural spiritual root is a genius in cultivation. He is the son of God in cultivation. However, he is a complete loser in the art of cultivation. In the art of cultivation, many professions require dual attribute spiritual roots or triple attribute spiritual roots. For example, an alchemist needs 2 attributes of fire and wood, with fire as the main attribute and wood as the auxiliary attribute. A weapon refiner needs 2 spiritual roots of fire and gold, with gold as the main attribute and fire as the auxiliary attribute. A formation master needs 2 attributes of gold and earth, with earth as the main attribute and gold as the auxiliary attribute. A spiritual planter needs 2 attributes of earth and wood, with wood as the main attribute and earth as the auxiliary attribute. A talisman maker needs 2 spiritual roots of water and wood, with water as the main attribute and wood as the auxiliary attribute. A natural spiritual root is not suitable for these side jobs. Time passed, and a year passed. During this year, Xuanji kept polishing his true key, and the quality of his true key was improving. He finally broke through the bottleneck, and entered the 8th level of key training. At the same time, it was harvest season for the spiritual field. Hoo-hoo. His left hand urged the flying sword, constantly cutting the rice in all directions, and his right hand urged the spiritual energy, which changed into a palm, grabbing the straw and gathering it together. The harvesting speed was very fast. It took only 3 days to harvest 300 mu of rice. Then, he used magic to remove the husk of rice. At the end, the output of Beiyang rice was counted, and the output was 73,000 jin of spiritual rice. The highest yield per mu was 260 jin, and the lowest was 230 jin. About 18,000 jin of spiritual rice had to be paid to the Wu family as rent. The remaining spiritual rice was his own, and could be sold to the Wu family. The purchase price was 1,000 jin of Beiyang rice, which was worth 1 spiritual stone. Excluding the price of seeds and fertilizers, Lu Xuanji's annual income was 45 spiritual stones. This was already a high salary. Brother, let's go out and hunt monsters. At this time, Yi Fixu said, I estimated that my brother's annual income was 45 spiritual stones. After various expenses, he could only have a surplus of 30 spiritual stones at most. It would take 500 years to accumulate 15,000 spiritual stones. 500 years, we can't wait that long. That's right, we can only go out and hunt monsters. Lu Xuanji estimated. Only the natural spiritual roots can achieve 100% foundation building without the foundation building pill. As for other spiritual roots, second spiritual roots, third spiritual roots, etc., there is a possibility of failure without the foundation building pill. After taking the foundation building pill, even if the foundation building fails, you can save your life, but if there is no foundation building pill, once the foundation fails, you will perish on the spot. Without the foundation building pill, there is a lack of security. In the late stage of key training, casual cultivators often go out to hunt monsters and accumulate spirit stones to exchange for foundation building pills. Hunting monsters is very risky. Not only do you have to face monsters, but you also have to deal with human cultivators who eat each other. There are cultivators on the third level who are lost outside. But when the risk is high, the profit is also great, which is much faster than making money by farming, refining pills, making talismans, etc. It is better to rob once than to work hard for 10 years. Chapter 30, 10,000 Mountains. Making money, this is the first reason. The second reason is to hone oneself in actual combat. Hunting monsters in the wild, tempering will and mind in life and death struggles, can increase the success rate when impacting the foundation. Otherwise, if you keep hiding and never participate in the battle, you will only become a giant baby, good looking but useless. In the market, Lu Xuanji walked and bought the items he needed when going out. The silkworm robe, a high quality robe, is woven with silk from silkworms and mixed with more than a dozen kinds of spiritual medicines. After wearing it, walking in the mountains can avoid poisonous insects, snakes, insects, rats and ants. Clean clothes talisman. When the clothes on the body are dirty, activate the clean clothes talisman to immediately turn into mist, directly wash the dirt on the clothes, and make the whole body clean. The fire ignition talisman can directly ignite fire, used for cooking or burning objects. The real water talisman can absorb the water in the air, store it in the talisman, and use it to replenish the water in the human body. The hemostatic talisman has medicinal power and can treat various skin and flesh wounds. The poison stopping talisman contains medicinal power that can treat general poisons. There are also various miscellaneous talismans, mainly for outdoor life. He also bought 3 bottles of Begu pills, 2 bottles of Bayang pills, 1 bottle of detoxification pills, and 1 bottle of Qi and blood pills. He also bought a book, which contains the types, characteristics, and prices of monsters commonly encountered in the wild, as well as some pictures of spiritual medicines, etc. When they got outside, one was to hunt monsters, and the other was to pick some spiritual medicines. After 2 days of preparation, Lu Xuanji and Yi Fixu left the market and headed towards the Xuan Mountains. Just a moment away, someone was watching and passing on the message. Fighting is prohibited in the Wu family market. Anyone who fights in the market will be severely punished by the Wu family. You can leave the market 30 miles away and enter a deserted area with monsters everywhere. Killing people and stealing treasures there is a waste of death. As soon as they left the market, Yi Fixu felt a lot of prying eyes and couldn't help but said, "Brother, someone is eyeing us." "Ignore it," Lu Xuanji said calmly. "They won't take action, but they may test us. One is to test our strength, and the other is to test how many spirit stones we have in our pockets, and then find corresponding countermeasures. First of all, the cultivators who are too poor will not take action, because there is no profit. Those who are too strong will not take action, because the risk is too great. If the foundation building cultivator takes action, we can't defeat him." Yi Fixu said worriedly. "Haha, don't worry, the foundation building cultivators won't take action. Lu Xuanji said, the Wu family, the Yi family, and the former Lu family have all warned the foundation building cultivators not to hunt down the key training cultivators. Otherwise, think about it, if there is a foundation building cultivator staring at the gate of the Wu family market, specifically hunting down the key training cultivators, will the business in the market continue like this? After becoming a foundation building cultivator, there are two choices. One is to join some cultivation families and become a guest official. The other is to be alone outside, open up spiritual veins, and establish a cultivation family. If neither is chosen, expulsion is the main thing. The cultivators in the late stage of key training can kill and rob treasures at will outside the market, but the foundation building cultivators cannot. The stronger the cultivation, the greater the power, but the greater the constraints. The figure flashed and ran away into the distance. While running, he showed a body method, and the speed was so fast that it reached 100 meters per second. This is considered showing muscles. My speed is very fast. Without a certain speed and a certain cultivator, it may not be able to stop me. Those prying eyes were horrified when they saw Lu Xuanji display such an escape technique, and they started to plan again. Boss, do you want to take action? No, not for now. These two guys were once Lu family cultivators, but after Xiang Mountain was conquered by Patriarch Yan'ang, these two little guys became casual cultivators, with not much money in their pockets. The sheep are too thin and too dry. It's better to wait for 5 or 6 years of fighting, and then kill them with spiritual stones in your pocket. The boss said this, but he was calculating in his heart how to kill these two guys. The two cultivators of the Lu family have very fast escape techniques, and at least 7 or 8 cultivators in the late stage of key training will be needed to intercept them. It is better to use some strategies to lead these two people to a desperate place to block them. It is also necessary to use the breath suppressing talisman to restrain the breath, get close to these two people, and give them a fatal blow. Swish. Walking between the mountains. After walking about 30 miles, Lu Xuanji stopped. Opening the jade slip, there is a map of the 100,000 mountains on it. On the map, there is a terrain of 100,000 mountains. To hunt monsters, you have to enter the 100,000 mountains. In the 100,000 mountains, there are all kinds of monsters, including key training monsters, foundation building monsters, purple mansion monsters, golden elixir monsters, and even yuanying monsters. It is said that in the 100,000 mountains, there is a black dragon demon emperor sitting in it, which is extremely terrifying and inexplicable. In the 100,000 mountains, there are peripheral areas, mixed areas, inner areas, core areas, and taboo areas. In the peripheral areas, there are mainly key training monsters and foundation building monsters. If you are not careful, you can only blame your bad luck if you encounter a foundation building monster and are eaten. But if you encounter a key training monster, don't be happy, you may also be killed. For example, rabbits, mice, bees, etc. are weak among monsters, and human cultivators who practice key at the first level can easily kill them. But when the number reaches hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands, even the purple mansion cultivators have to run away when they encounter them. Swipe. After putting away the map, Lu Xuanji and Yufix headed for the 100,000 mountains. The Cheyenne clothes on their bodies were changing colors, like chameleons, blending perfectly with the surrounding scenery. If you don't look carefully, you really can't notice it. As they walked, they arrived at a distance of 10 miles, and saw a stone tablet in the distance. There were 4 big characters written on the stone tablet, 100,000 mountains. The 4 characters on the stone tablet were bloody. Near the stone tablet, there was a pile of skulls, which looked hideous and terrifying. It seemed to be predicting that as long as you take a step forward, you will enter hell. Lu Xuanji crossed the stone tablet and entered the 100,000 mountains. When the Lu family existed, they could exchange spirit stones for foundation building pills, suffer a little, and at most pay the efforts of several generations, and owe a debt to the family. But after the demise of the Lu family, the foundation building pills could not be obtained through conventional channels, and could only be obtained in life and death battles. When stepping over the stone tablet, the mobile phone issued an alert. Ding dong. Host, be careful. You are being targeted by an ascent soul demon. Host, be careful. If the nascent soul demon blows a breath, the host will die. Nascent soul demon shifts his mind and no longer pays attention to the host. It is obvious that in the eyes of the nascent soul demon, the host is just an insignificant insect on the ground. The nascent soul demon disdains to step on the host to death. Just then, a voice came from the mobile phone. Xuanji was slightly shocked and continued to move forward, as if nothing had happened. Being weak also has its advantages. Tigers will hunt rabbits for food, but they will not kill ants on the ground. Chapter 31, Nether Cat. Swish, swish, swish. The two walked silently, and they had been in the Xuan Mountains for half a day. Along the way, they encountered various monsters, including foxes, rabbits, antelopes, elks, wild boars, etc., but they just glanced over and did not hunt them. Hunting monsters follows two principles. One is that monsters with low value cannot be hunted, the other is that monsters with great danger cannot be hunted. The two moved forward, constantly looking for targets. Along the way, they encountered some monsters fighting. There were wild wolves hunting rabbits, there were also wild wolves fighting with porcupines, and many monsters were fighting life and death. Because of racial reasons, many monsters fought very tragically. Many monsters died in the mouths of monsters. Both of them avoided them. Along the way, they also encountered some mountains, lakes, valleys, cliffs and other areas, with spiritual veins buried underground, no less than Wujiafang City. But these areas are all owned by owners, occupied by foundation building monsters. Xuanji carefully avoided these places with rich spiritual energy, and most of the areas he walked in were mountains or valleys with thin spiritual energy. Brother, what monster are you going to hunt this time? Seeing that Xuanji had not hunted a monster for half a month, Yifixu was a little impatient and asked, we should start now. Xuanji was not in a hurry, and said slowly, this is the first time I came to the Xuan Mountains. The main purpose is not hunting, but to get familiar with the environment here, and then find the target. But seeing that his brother was not impatient, he could only endure it. Xuanji smiled, subconsciously touched Yifixu's head, and said, Xiaoxu, this place is not simple. Is it not simple? Yifixu said, I think it's just like this. As long as you avoid the foundation building monsters and hunt higher level monsters, it won't be a big problem. Xuanji smiled, but he answered and continued to move forward. It seemed that he was walking aimlessly. But while walking, the phone is taking photos, videos, etc., recording the information of various spiritual herbs and medicines in the 10,000 mountains, collecting data, and with the collection and recording of a large amount of data, it also feedbacks various information accordingly. A foundation building monster stared at you, but it just had enough, and was too lazy to pay attention to you. A foundation building monster found you, but you had a bad smell on you. Chapter 32 Harvest. The skin of the nether cat can be used to make talisman paper. The beast pill of the nether cat can be used to refine the foundation building pill. The blood of the nether cat can be used to make talisman ink. Its claws can be ground into powder and used as a medicinal material. In Wujiafang Market, the purchase price is 1,500 spirit stones, which is equivalent to 1/10 of a foundation building pill. Yifixu said excitedly, it's not that easy. We are lucky to have killed this nether cat. Other foundation building monsters are not easy to kill. Xuanji said with a smile. There are differences in the strength of foundation building monsters. For example, caterpillars, butterflies, rabbits, mice and other monsters, even if they enter the foundation building realm, their combat power is very weak, and they may be killed by powerful key training monks. Similarly, tiger monsters and dragon monsters can resist, and even kill human purple mansion monks in the foundation building realm. Xuanji went to a valley, which was the nest of the nether cat. The nether cat, with the dark attribute, likes to live in valleys, and in some dark places. Arriving in the valley, Xuanji felt that there was a secondary spiritual vein underground, and the nether cat occupied it alone. While searching here, he found a large area of nether grass. Nether grass is equivalent to food for nether cat. About 200 acres of land are all growing nether grass, which seems to be planted by nether cat. These nether grasses are of different ages. The oldest one is already 1,000 years old, with only 3 nether grasses. As for the nether grasses of other years, each is different. The 1,000-year nether grass is not really grown for 1,000 years. For example, in places with thin spiritual energy, nether grass needs to grow for 1,000 years before it can turn into 1,000-year nether grass. But in some places with rich spiritual energy and fertile soil, it only takes 100 years, or even decades, to grow. Because the valley is in a special location, and is naturally suitable for the growth of nether grass, it only takes 10 years for 100-year nether grass, and 100-year nether grass only takes 100 years. The price of 100-year-old nether grass is 3 spirit stones, while the price of 1,000-year-old nether grass is 100 spirit stones. The nether grass is the raw material for making the nether pill. The nether pill taken alone can enhance the soul power of the cultivator, temper the body, and enhance the explosive power of the human body. The nether grass here is worth 1,200 spirit stones. If the corpse of the nether cat is added, it is worth at least 2,500 spirit stones. Calculating the harvest, stars flashed in Yifixu's eyes. Hunting monsters, the profit is too great, of course. The premise is to stay alive. It's troublesome. These 2,500 spirit stones are very dangerous if they are sold in the Wu family market. Xuanji flashed a trace of worry. People's hearts cannot withstand the test. Don't use spirit stones to test the character of cultivators. If there are only more than 200 spirit stones in the pocket, it is nothing. But 2,500 spirit stones are enough to attract the greed of the foundation building cultivators, and they will kill them. Even the Wu family cultivators will take action, find an excuse, and kill people openly and rob treasures. It can't be sold, and if it is sold, it must be sold in batches. Yifixu was also worried. Having money but not being able to spend it is the dilemma of casual cultivators. Many casual cultivators are directly destroyed because their wealth is exposed. If the Lu family still exists, they can hand over the nether grass to the family in exchange for some spiritual stones and spiritual pills, without having to worry about some people being jealous and killing people to steal the treasure. The family will protect the private property of the cultivators. Without an alchemist to make pills, just swallow the nether grass raw to improve your soul power, Xuanji suggested. Monsters don't have alchemists, so when they encounter spiritual medicines, they mainly swallow them raw. Just swallow the spiritual medicine raw. It's a waste of spiritual medicine. Yifixu said distressed. Swallowing 3 nether grass raw can be equivalent to 1 nether pill, and refining 1 nether pill only requires 1 nether grass. Swallowing spiritual medicine raw is too wasteful of medicinal materials. At least this is safe. If you sell it in large quantities in the market, you can make money if you have a life, but you can't spend it if you don't. Xuanji said with a smile. It can only be done this way. Yifixu took out the jade box, took out the jade knife, and began to harvest the nether grass. According to the age, they are placed in different boxes. The jade box is a low-level magic tool, which can better preserve the medicinal properties of the spiritual medicine. When collecting the spiritual medicine, take the medicine, and keep the root. First pick the high-level spiritual medicine, then the low-level spiritual medicine. If the spiritual medicine is properly preserved, it can be preserved for 5 years and the medicinal properties can be kept above the 9th level. After collecting the spiritual medicine, Xuanji and Yifixu walked in the Xuan Mountains, looking around cautiously. After the experience just now, Xuanji became more careful. Subconsciously avoid some places with rich spiritual energy. The richer the spiritual energy, the greater the possibility of the appearance of natural spiritual treasures, and the greater the danger. Because of the harvest of the nether grass, the demand for some spiritual medicines is not too great. The main thing is to observe the surrounding environment and familiarize yourself with the Xuan Mountains. As you go deeper, the danger alerts on your mobile phone are increasing. 10 kilometers away, there is a foundation building python sleeping. 10 kilometers away, there is a demon beast with white tiger bloodline, hunting an elk. 10 miles away, there is a dragon blood monster, sleeping. 20 miles away, there is a big rock sleeping. It found the host, but was too lazy to eat the host. 3 miles away, there is a monster poison bee, collecting honey, discovered the existence of the host, but was too lazy to pay attention to the host. Walking on the road, the phone kept sending alarms. On average, the alarm sounded after walking less than 100 miles. These monsters are very dangerous. But Xuanji cleverly walked on the dividing line between the two monster territories, causing some monsters that were about to be hunted to hesitate and finally give up. Along the way, many human corpses were encountered. There are many human monks buried here. Walking on the road more carefully, but even so, there are still some dangers, encountering sneak attacks from some low-level monsters, encountering harassment from some insects, and being chased by some monsters. After chasing for a while, many monsters saw Xuanji and the others entering a new monster area, and gave up chasing. In the midst of the danger, Xuanji and Yifixu looked at each other, and began to eat the nether grass. As they swallowed the nether grass and continued to refine it, their mental power was steadily improving, their soul perception was strengthening, and their insight into every blade of grass and every tree, and their sensitivity to crisis, became more acute. The only pity was that a large amount of the nether grass was eaten, wasting a lot of its medicinal power. Chapter 33, Life and Death Moment. As he walked, Xuanji suddenly felt a sense of panic and fear. A sound came from the front. Not good. As if sensing something, Xuanji put a spell on his leg and ran away with Yifixu, his speed comparable to that of a foundation building cultivator. At this moment, the grass and trees behind were shaking, the wind was blowing, and a cultivator was seen running in the bushes at a very fast speed. While running, the cultivator shouted, "Little Taoist friend, help me." He ran towards the direction of Xuanji and Yifixu. "Old bastard, you are nothing." Xuanji sensed the breath getting closer and closer from behind, and a trace of anger flashed in his eyes. A foundation building cultivator asked for help from a key training cultivator. Is this reasonable? It is not reasonable at all. This is to divert the trouble. Many times, you don't need to run faster than the enemy, just run faster than your teammates. Roar. At this moment, accompanied by a roar, a white tiger monster appeared. Its body was 5 meters long and 1 meter high. Its tail was like a steel whip. Its feet were in the air, chasing the foundation building monk. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The wind was making a sound. The wind escape technique that he had practiced for 30 years was accelerating, and the speed was constantly increasing. But the foundation building monk behind him was running faster, and the distance between them was getting closer and closer. 3,000 meters. 2,000 meters, 1,000 meters, 300 meters. In just less than 5 seconds, the distance was shortened from 3,000 meters to 300 meters. It's over. I'm going to die. Xuanji flashed a trace of despair. The foundation building monk behind him was less than 100 meters away from him, and he surpassed him in just a moment. Plop. At this moment, accompanied by a sound, the foundation building monk was thrown down. Help. The foundation building monk cried out in a struggle. The flying sword in his hand turned into a starlight, like the flying sparks in June turned into flames, with heat and burning, turned into a flame of destruction, stabbing at the eyes of the white tiger monster. The white tiger monster looked at it with disdain, with a hint of ridicule in its eyes, and slapped down with the claws of its right hand. There was a hint of white light on the claws, like the transformation of Genjin, and it collided with the flying sword with a sharp breath, and sparks were flying. The flying sword was trembling, almost showing a 90-degree bend. Crack. With a sound, the flying sword broke. A black shadow pounced down and bit directly on the head of the foundation building monk. The head of the foundation building monk was eaten directly by the white tiger monster. Crack. Crack. It seemed to be eating something delicious, and the taste was very sweet. It seemed to taste very good, and the white tiger monster closed his eyes and enjoyed it. Then, he opened his eyes again, and continued to eat. In a few seconds, he continued to eat his delicious meal. Whoosh. It seemed that he ran too fast, and didn't pay attention to his feet. Xuanji tripped, and fell to the ground. At the same moment, Yifixu also fell to the ground. Whoosh. Xuanji kept panting. Just in the rapid running just now, the true energy in his body was completely depleted. At this moment, he was practicing the skills, and his acupoints immediately absorbed the spiritual energy from the outside world to make up for his own loss, but he didn't have the strength to continue running. Crack. Crack. At this moment, he saw the scene of the white tiger monster eating the foundation building monk. The scene was extremely bloody. Yufixu looked at the brutal scene and her hands and feet were cold. "Brother, we are going to die here," Yufixu said, with a trace of unwillingness in her eyes. "It's a pity that you shouldn't have come. If you hadn't entered the 10,000 mountains, you would have become a foundation establishment cultivator, a purple mansion cultivator, a golden core cultivator, or even an ascent soul true lord in the near future," Lu Xuanji said with some regret. "I don't feel sorry. If my brother hadn't found me and brought me into the Lu family, I might have married and become a village woman," Yufixu said in a flat tone. "It's not bad to die with my brother. It's just that I'm a little scared when I think about being eaten by a tiger." Looking at the scene of the white tiger monster gnawing, Yufixu trembled and said, "Why don't we commit suicide? The scene of being eaten by the white tiger monster is too tragic." Lu Xuanji, the white tiger monster is a cat family animal. Even if it has established its foundation, it still has animal instincts and inherent weaknesses. The IQ of this white tiger is only equivalent to that of a 7-year-old child, and its brain is not very smart. The white tiger monster focuses on explosive power and speed. When sprinting 10,000 meters, its speed is very fast, but its endurance is insufficient. Once it sprints 10,000 meters, it will choose to give up before it catches its prey. The white tiger monster is usually very lazy. It will only go out when hunting, and usually sleeps in its territory. The monster white tiger has strong explosive power, but lacks endurance. It mainly rolls, pounces and bites. As long as you can hold on for 10 moves without being defeated, you can kill him, Lu Xuanji said, recalling the description of the monster in the atlas. The blood of monsters is king, and they rely on blood to eat. As long as they swallow and spit out the essence of the sun and the moon, they can quickly improve their cultivation. Many monsters grow very slowly, but some monsters with strong blood are exceptions. In the early stage, the monsters are weak in intelligence, which is only equivalent to a newborn baby or a 3 or 4-year-old child. After entering the foundation building stage, it is only equivalent to a 7 or 8-year-old child. Only when they enter the purple mansion realm can they have wisdom that is not inferior to humans. This white tiger monster has an IQ equivalent to a 7-year-old child, and IQ is a shortcoming. But no matter how low the IQ of the white tiger monster is, he can't defeat it by strategy. If IQ is useful, why do you have to practice hard? He kept thinking and thinking about various information, but he still couldn't think of a way to defeat the white tiger monster. At this time, the white tiger had finished eating the foundation building cultivators and watched Lu Xuanji and Yufixu walk over slowly and wanted to eat some snacks. Got it. In a flash, Lu Xuanji seemed to think of something, took out the nether grass, crushed it into powder, and smeared it on his body. He also smeared it on Yufixu's body, and soon the two of them were stained with the scent of the nether grass. The white tiger monster, who was about to go forward to eat some snacks, stopped less than 10 meters away from the two. Smelling the breath of the two people, smelling their smell, he turned around and left, with a look of disgust in his eyes. After a few flashes, the white tiger monster disappeared. Chapter 34 Xuanji. Are we safe? Yufixu said with a palpitation, so close to death. Safe for now, Lu Xuanji said. I just tried it. I didn't expect it to be successful. Why is that? Yufixu asked. The white tiger has the attribute of light, but the nether grass has the attribute of darkness. When we put the juice of the nether grass on our bodies, it's like having some shit on our snacks. The white tiger smelled disgusting and gave up eating it. Lu Xuanji made some guesses. In the animal world, every animal has a way of survival. I remember that in the previous life, when some animals encountered danger, they hid directly in the animal feces. Those natural enemies saw this scene and immediately gave up hunting. Take out the simple map and start measuring the distance. The conclusion is that we can't go on. Approaching the mixed zone, the monster bloodline is higher and the danger is greater. Let's go. Lu Xuanji began to return, but as he walked, he gradually realized that he was lost. The direction was wrong. In the vast mountains, relying on a simple map, it is almost normal to get lost. The only lucky thing was that the direction of the compass would deviate, but at least the general direction was correct, and there would be no scene of walking into the mixed zone. Walking for about 3 days. Still in the mountains. Boom boom boom. At this moment, Xuanji felt the spiritual energy fluctuating violently, the spells colliding, and the power of destruction coming in waves. Not good. There are top masters fighting. Xuanji subconsciously pulled Yifixu to hide behind a rock, waiting anxiously. Boom boom boom. The spell collision continued, and the power of the confrontation came in waves. A giant bird emitting flames and a square human monk. They stood in the sky above 1,000 meters and fought. It was like a small yield nuclear bomb colliding, and the ripples of destruction collided. It was about 10 kilometers away from here, and the destructive ripples hit the ground. The big trees on the ground fell down, the gullies on the ground continued, and the soil flew. Many monsters that did not have time to escape were directly affected, and turned into meat paste on the spot. Countless monsters were running, some were key training monsters, some were foundation building monsters, passing by in groups, avoiding the aftermath of the battle. He also wanted to run away, but looking at the monsters running around, he gave up. Boom boom boom. The battle in the sky continued, and the fight continued. The waves of destruction, one after another, continued, like a tide, like a mountain torrent, causing the spiritual energy in a radius of 10 miles to fluctuate violently, causing the sky to change. The high-level monks were fighting, and the battle scene was extremely terrifying and amazing. In the fierce battle, the battlefield of both sides was moving, and after a while the battlefield moved 100 miles away and disappeared. How strong are they? Yifixu's eyes flashed with longing. They are giant and monks, too far away from us. Xuanji sighed slightly. They are very powerful, but we don't know how strong they are. In the eyes of ants, wolves, and tigers are equally powerful, and they can't tell whether the tiger is stronger or the wolf is stronger. A real man should live like this. A trace of determination flashed in Xuanji's eyes. He continued to walk out of the Xuan Mountains. About 3 days later, he finally walked out of the Xuan Mountains, but he was seriously deviated from the direction, and was 1,000 miles away from Wujiafang Market. When he arrived at Wujiafang, feeling the people coming in and out here, Xuanji and Yifixu looked at each other, and a trace of relief and joy flashed in each other's eyes. After running around in the Xuan Mountains for 2 months, he often encountered dangers and even slept unsteadily. Now that he is here, he can finally sleep peacefully. When he arrived at the gate of the market, Xuanji took out the token. The guards at the door looked at the token and nodded. Xuanji and Yifixu entered the market. At this moment, a terrifying breath emanated from the void. Xuanji looked up and saw a woman in white palace clothes descending from the void. She exuded elegance and luxury, and a Zhengjin breath emanated, exuding sharpness and glare. Just a glance, Xuanji's heart was throbbing. I was immediately amazed, and could hardly look away. Many casual cultivators were watching, and their hearts were also throbbing. Even the female cultivators were obsessed. The next moment, the woman in white palace clothes exuded sword intent, and the casual cultivators present felt a slight pain in their eyes and subconsciously looked away. This is a sword cultivator, and his attack is fierce and murderous. Xuanji thought. To become a sword cultivator, you must have a golden spiritual root, and comprehend the sword intent in the key training realm, and use the sword intent as the foundation to enter the foundation building. The attack power of a sword cultivator is invincible in the same realm. At this moment, the foundation building cultivator of the Wu family appeared, bent down, and said respectfully, Junior Wu Quan, I pay my respects to the ancestor Xuanji. The ancestor has come to the Wu family market. What's the matter? Just doing business. Xuanji said. Ancestor, let's talk inside. Wu Quan said respectfully, and directly invited the ancestor to the cave, set out spiritual tea, and entertained him warmly. Brother, she is so beautiful. A trace of longing flashed in Yifixu's eyes. Xuanji said, you are just attracted by her beauty. You are greedy for her body. You are cheap. Yifixu chuckled. Arriving at the cave, he opened a storage bag, and counted the harvest. There are spiritual medicines, spiritual herbs, and corpses of monsters. Some corpses of monsters in the key training realm are worth at most 1 or 2 spiritual stones, and some spiritual herbs with a year of less than 100 years are priced at 3 or 5 spiritual stones. The most precious is the corpse of the nether cat. Although its combat power is a bit poor, it is a foundation building monster after all. The corpse of a foundation building monster is very useful. There is also the nether grass in the box, which is also expensive. After sorting out the harvest, Xuanji only took a small part of the items and went to the old shop of the Wu family to sell them. This is the nether grass. One by one, the items appeared and were placed on the floor of the shop. At first, Wu Yukin looked calm, but when she saw the 3 nether grasses, her eyes changed. The 3 nether grasses are all 500 years old, with strong medicinal power and excellent quality. Wu Yukin looked at the 3 nether grasses with a flash of heat in her eyes. Nether grass is the main material for refining nether pills. Taking nether pills can enhance the spiritual power of cultivators, and it is a good auxiliary medicine. Unfortunately, nether grass has a harsh living environment. It not only needs a place with rich spiritual energy, but also needs to grow in a dark and humid valley. It has a harsh growing environment. Only a few families, in some special areas, artificially grow nether grass, but the quantity is limited. There are very few wild nether grasses, especially those that are 500 years old. And in places where nether grass grows, nether cats often appear. This kind of cat is not strong, but it is good at hiding and sneaking. Even foundation building cultivators often die there. But this Lu family cultivator was very lucky. He actually picked 3 wild nether grasses. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35, Lu Family Reconstruction. After a careful inspection, Wu Yukin couldn't help but ask, are there any more nether grass? No. Xuanji said, we are also lucky to have picked the nether grass. What a pity. Saying it was a pity, Wu Yukin took out 2 spirit stone tickets and some spirit stones, and handed them to Xuanji. The spirit stone ticket represents the face value of spirit stones, and the lowest is 100 spirit stones. You can use the spirit stone ticket to go to some shops to buy items. You can also use the spirit stone ticket to exchange some spirit stones, sell these supplies, and earn 235 spirit stones. Thank you. Xuanji said, putting the spirit stone ticket and spirit stones into the storage bag. By the way, there is a good news. Wu Yukin said, the Lu family's elder has rebuilt the Lu family in Changyuan Mountain. The old ancestor Yan Yang took action and killed all the foundation building cultivators of my Lu family. How come the elder is still alive? Xuanji asked cautiously. Not only the first elder, the fourth elder, and the seventh elder are still alive, but also some of the Lu family's cultivators are survivors. Just when Elder Yan Yang killed the Lu family cultivators and destroyed a certain market of the Lu family, a purple mansion patriarch of the Danliang sect attacked and seriously injured Elder Yan Yang. Ancestor Yan Yang fled. The purple mansion patriarch of the Danliang sect chased him for 30,000 miles, and finally Elder Yan Yang fled from Archu state. When he reached the border of Wu state, the purple mansion patriarch had no choice but to give up. The Danliang sect has issued a hunting order and has put Elder Yan Yang on the wanted list. As long as he is brave enough to appear on the territory of Chu state, he will be killed. In this way, Wu Yukin told some things about the Lu family. Some of them were known to Xuanji, but some were unknown. Although Elder Yan Yang conquered Xiang Mountain, destroyed many markets of the Lu family, killed most of the foundation building cultivators of the Lu family, and even killed as many as 7 key training cultivators, he also attracted the intervention of the Danliang sect. Patriarch Yan Yang was forced to leave Chu state and could not set foot in Qingshu County. At least for the time being, the Lu family is safe. Because of the departure of Patriarch Yan Yang, the Lu family monks gradually gathered at Changyuan Mountain and began to rebuild the Lu family. Thank you. Xuanji said. It's okay. Our Wu family and Lu family are married, and we have a close relationship. We can still help with small things. Wu Yukin said. Back to the cave. He told Yifixu about the reconstruction of the Lu family. The reconstruction of the Lu family is still bumpy. Many people don't want the Lu family to grow stronger and will make things difficult. The only lucky thing is that the Yi family and the Wu family have both been married and they will give some help. Because of the rules of the Danliang sect, some families have to abide by some rules, even if they suppress the Lu family. Lu Xuanji said, analyzing the situation. Looking forward to the future of the Lu family. Brother, let's go back to the Lu family. Okay. Packing up things, handling some procedures, returning to the cave, returning to the spiritual field, bidding farewell to the Wu family market, heading towards Changyuan Mountain. Just as the two left, a message was transmitted. Finally, they arrived at an area. The Lu family wants to rebuild, but I won't allow it. Kill them, a figure said indifferently in the darkness. Changyuan City Mountain, located on the edge of Qingshu County, was once a market town of the Lu family. There is a second level spiritual vein here, which can be used by Lu family cultivators to practice. After leaving Wu's market town, the two of them headed towards Changyuan Mountain with great interest. After walking for half a day, they gradually arrived at an uninhabited wilderness, where there were few people and monsters occasionally appeared. As they walked, Lu Xuanji suddenly felt uneasy. A black shadow appeared on the road ahead. The veil covered his face, but he stood in front and intercepted the two. Who are you? Lu Xuanji asked. I came here to kill people and rob treasures, and by the way, I will kill you two little guys. The Lu family wants to rebuild, but I won't allow it. The man in black spoke, and at the moment of speaking, he no longer concealed his aura, and his cultivation in the foundation building period emanated and suppressed him. Lu Xuanji felt suffocated by the aura suppression alone. Senior is a foundation building cultivator. Why do you want to embarrass the juniors? Lu Xuanji said. Haha, who made you two fat sheep? As the saying goes, a rotten boat still has 3 pounds of nails. You two have good stuff on you. The man in black said, forget it, kill you, and all your things are mine. Kill. The man in black urged the flying sword to stab. But when it was about to stab Lu Xuanji, a light shield appeared around Lu Xuanji's body, protecting him and Yifixu. Snap. The flying sword stabbed continuously, but it couldn't break. Interesting. The man in black sneered, and was about to urge the flying sword again. But at this moment, he felt creepy. I saw that the Lu family junior was holding a jade talisman in his hand, and urging the jade talisman to throw it out. Not good. The man in black felt uneasy, and the next moment he urged it to flee 100 meters away. But the jade talisman was also following him like a shadow, like a maggot on the tarsal bone. It exploded at a distance of 10 meters. Endless flames swept around. Level 2 flame talisman. Junior, I'm going to kill you. The flames hit the man in black, and he was immediately in a mess, with bloody wounds and his clothes torn. He was angry, and wanted to fight back. But at this moment, another jade talisman fell, and then lightning swept through the void. The man in black dodged, but he was a beat slower, and was drowned by lightning. Crackling. With a violent noise, the man in black's body, which was bombarded by lightning, turned black, and his breath became weak. Kill. Lu Xuanji stepped forward, and killed the man in black. The man in black shouted, spare my life. Puff. A sword pierced his heart. As if it was not enough, another sword cut off his head. Whoosh! Exclamation mark. Lu Xuanji breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he had the life-saving trump card of the ancestor, otherwise he would really die. Sensing the back, there were still some monks peeking. Let's go. Lu Xuanji didn't save money. He took out a jade talisman and crushed it on the spot. Suddenly, a teleportation force came, and Lu Xuanji and Yifixu disappeared. When they appeared again, they were already 5 miles away. After being teleported 5 miles away, Lu Xuanji pasted another breath-retaining talisman on his body, and another one on Yifixu, restraining his breath and hiding. Just after the two disappeared, the peeping crowd looked at this scene and were dumbfounded. It was a sure thing for the foundation building cultivator to take action against the Taki training cultivators, but it turned out to be a failure. The third level flaming talisman is worth 1,500 spirit stones. The third level thunder talisman is worth 2,000 spirit stones. This Lu family junior is too rich. He smashed it twice, and immediately 3,500 spirit stones were gone. Originally, the Lu family was in decline, and they wanted to beat the dog when it was down and eat up the whole family, but now it seems that the dog is not easy to beat. After all, the Lu family is a 1,000-year-old family. 3 purple mansion cultivators were born in the past 1,000 years. There is still a certain foundation. If you want to eat the Lu family, you will break your teeth if you are not careful. This Lu family junior is really powerful. He usually doesn't show his strength, but he can kill a foundation building cultivator with 2 moves. Being rich means being willful, and foundation building cultivators can't be too arrogant. The people who were secretly peeping saw Xuanji showing his power and beating the foundation building cultivator, and they all felt sad. All the small thoughts in their hearts were also restrained. Originally, they wanted to kill people and steal treasures, but seeing that the prey was not easy to chew, they had to give up. P.S. This chapter is an extra chapter. I will add more chapters on Sunday. Chapter 36. Goodbye, Great Elder. After hiding for a day, the people who were tracking him dispersed, and Xuanji breathed a sigh of relief. He continued on his way. After walking for 10 days, he finally reached Changyuan Mountain. The former Lu family market has now become the place where the Lu family rebuilt. Meet the Great Elder. Xuanji met the Great Elder again. When he saw the Great Elder again, he almost didn't recognize him. In the past, the Great Elder was 150 years old, but he had black hair and looked extremely young, as energetic as a teenager. But now the Great Elder has white hair on his head and wrinkles on his face. He seems very tired. He no longer has the vigor and vitality of the past, but only old age. The destruction of the Lu family almost defeated this old man. Not bad, not bad. Xuanji, you are still alive. It's good to be alive. There is hope in life. Lu Xianyi looked at this junior, and a glimmer of joy flashed in his eyes. We are all old and our potential is exhausted. Only you have the greatest hope. It's a pity that the Lu family has declined and can't give you too much. There was a sense of decline in his words. Grand Elder, you are only 150 years old, but you have already reached the 8th level of foundation building. You have a chance to reach the purple mansion in the future. Xuanji bowed. The Great Elder's aptitude is very strong. Among the older generation, he has the strongest aptitude. Even the Patriarch's aptitude is not as good as the Great Elder. That's why many elders held back the old ancestor Yan Yang and left him the chance to escape. Purple Mansion, it's very difficult. I'm confident that I can reach the peak of foundation building at the age of 180. As for how to become a Purple Mansion cultivator, it depends on luck. The Great Elder said calmly, hey, you are actually at the 8th level of key training, and your bone age is only 40 years old. Not bad. There is hope that you can reach the 9th level of key training at the age of 45, and then continue to polish your foundation for 5 years, and impact the foundation building stage before the age of 50. Sensing the changes in Xuanji, the Great Elder was very satisfied. The Lu family has a successor. The Lu family still has 3 foundation building cultivators, but they are all old. The first elder is Lu Xianyi, who is 153 years old. The 4th elder is Lu Jinwen, who is 170 years old. And the 7th elder is Lu Jingxiu, who is 200 years old. They don't have much time left. Before they pass away, they need to cultivate some fresh blood for the Lu family to support the situation of the Lu family. Not only that, Yi Fixu is already at the 7th level of key training. Xuanji said. How old is she? Asked the first elder. 27 years old. 27 years old. The first elder frowned subconsciously when he heard this data, and a trace of jealousy and melancholy flashed in his eyes. The gap between people is too big, even bigger than the gap between people and dogs. 27 years old, 7th level of key training, and a terrifying spiritual root. This is still because the Lu family has slowed down her cultivation speed. If she went to the Danliang sect, the speed would be faster. Forget it. This is your Taoist partner. I can't persuade you. I can only say that you should keep a low profile. Keep a low profile, said the elder. Suppress it as long as you can. Otherwise the Lu family can't hold on. Yes. Xuanji nodded. To cultivate to the 9th level of key training, the heavenly spiritual route needs 10 to 20 years, the second spiritual route needs 20 to 30 years, the third spiritual route needs 40 to 50 years, the fourth spiritual route needs 80 to 100 years, and the fifth spiritual route needs at least 200 years. The heavenly spiritual route cultivates too fast. The heavenly spiritual route will definitely enter the golden elixir, but this is also under the condition of a solid foundation. If the foundation is not solid, accidents may also occur. The elder said, consolidate the foundation more, don't rush to impact the foundation building stage. She has no shortage of time, polish some more foundation. If there is no big thing, she should not walk around casually, safety is the priority. Xuanji nodded and asked the elder something else. We can't go back to Xiang Mountain, and we have to give up some industries. We can only give up some things, and get the support of the Yi family, the Wu family, and the Danliang faction. The elder sighed and talked about the pattern of the Lu family. A man is innocent, but he is guilty of holding a treasure. The strong are innocent, and the weak are guilty. If the Lu family was still the former Zifu family, with the Zifu ancestor sitting in the seat, occupying more than half of the territory of Qingshu County, and having various large and small families as vassals would not be a big problem. But first the Zifu ancestor passed away, and then the Yan'ang ancestor attacked, and there were only 3 foundation building cultivators left. It was not only impossible to occupy the former industry, but also dangerous, like a child walking in a busy city with gold, which would bring disaster to the Lu family. For safety, some interests can only be cut to the Yi family and the Wu family. Some ores, spirit veins, orchards, medicine gardens, etc., as well as most of the population were ceded to these 2 families. Although the most valuable Xiang Mountain was looted by the bandits, it still has medicine gardens, spiritual fields, and underground 3rd level high quality spiritual veins. These are huge properties, which were finally given to the Yi family. The other 3 market towns were directly given to the Danliang sect. As the saying goes, when a whale falls, all things come to life. When the Lu family falls, the other families will be full. Actively give up some of the benefits, give the Lu family a bit of dignity, and also give some dignity to the other families. Can my Lu family get a respite by giving up these benefits? Xuanji asked. When the wall falls, everyone pushes it, and when the drum is broken, everyone hammers it. Everyone likes to add insult to injury, and eat up the family. Will they let the weak Lu family go and give the Lu family some time to breathe? The elder was silent and said, they will let my Lu family go, but they won't let you go. What does this mean? Xuanji asked. They will let it go, because those families have just divided up some of my Lu family's assets, and have not yet digested them, so they will not attack my Lu family, and they have eaten some of my Lu family's assets, so they have to save some face, and will not attack my Lu family directly. They still have some face. The elder said again, but some independent cultivators and small families, who did not get any benefits, will attack my Lu family. The Lu family is still in crisis. Who are the main enemies of the Lu family? Xuanji asked. I don't know. The elder said, when you are strong, there are few enemies, or even no enemies, but when you are weak, there are many enemies, and enemies are everywhere. Xuanji asked again, and the elder responded. Since the reconstruction of the Lu family, there have been more than 100 cultivators who have arrived at Changyuan Mountain, and there are 3 foundation building cultivators. They are not as good as those top forces, but they can be considered to be more than enough to protect themselves. On Changyuan Mountain, a 2nd level spiritual vein has been laid, which can already provide 5 foundation building cultivators and more than 200 key training cultivators for cultivation. The Lu family suffered huge losses in that battle. Their goal now is no longer to expand, but to recuperate and restore their strength. Chapter 37 Purchase Foundation Building Pill. It is impossible to advance forever on the road of life. Ups and downs are normal. Just like the Lu family has encountered various crises and powerful enemies since its establishment thousands of years ago. At the worst time, the family had only 1 cultivator at the 9th level of key training. But after that cultivator established his foundation, he rebuilt the Lu family and subsequently prospered. The Lu family is in a miserable state now, but it is still good compared to certain periods in history. Not long after, I met my father and mother again. Many people died in the Battle of Xiang Mountain. At that time, my father Lu Jinwen happened to be away, and my mother Yi Xinlin also went to visit relatives at the Yi family. They escaped. Seeing that his parents were still alive, Lu Xuanji was very happy. But one thing is certain, he is not the protagonist. The protagonists are all orphans born after their parents sacrificed their lives to heaven, but he has both parents, so he is obviously not the protagonist. But who is the protagonist? Yi Fixu. Yi Fixu was almost drowned by her mother when she was young. Later, she became a child bride, suffered hardships and torture in that family, and met an immortal at the age of 13, and embarked on the road of cultivating immortals. At the age of 50, she entered the foundation building stage. At the age of 100, she entered the Purple Palace. At the age of 200, she entered the Golden Elixir stage. At the age of 400, she entered the Primordial Infant stage. And at the age of 1000, she entered the Spirit Transformation stage. 10,000 years later, she became an immortal in one fell swoop, and ascended to the immortal world. After ascending to the immortal world, she became the immortal emperor in one fell swoop after 120,000 years, and was called the Empress Fixu. She once said that she did not become an immortal, but only to meet you after endless years. After becoming the immortal emperor, she reversed time and space abruptly, and resurrected her former Taoist partner Lu Xuanji from the long river of time. The plot is perfect, the character setting is perfect, and it can be called the female version of the immortal reversal. The only imperfection is a certain male supporting role, called Lu Xuanji. Haha. Lu Xuanji shook his head, and stopped thinking about it. Son, is there something you should be prepared for? After talking about the experiences over the years, his father looked a little solemn. Father, what happened? Lu Xuanji asked. Son, Xiang Mountain was breached, and the Lu family's medicine garden was breached. 30 chalcedony mushrooms were planted in the medicine garden, 2 of which were originally used to refine foundation building pills. But because Xiang Mountain was breached, and Uncle Wu died, the family had no alchemists. There is a lack of both raw materials and alchemists, so the foundation building pills need to be purchased from outside. To buy the foundation building pills, at least 20,000 spirit stones are needed. I have more than 5,000 spirit stones here, and the other 15,000 spirit stones can only be borrowed from the family. Father Lu Jinwen was talking about a very critical matter, the purchase of foundation building pills. In the past, the Lu family had medicinal materials and alchemists, and the foundation building pills could be self-sufficient, and even the surplus could be sold to make money. It only takes 10,000 spirit stones to exchange from the family. If the money is not enough, you can buy it on credit and pay it back later. It is similar to taking out a loan to buy a house in the previous life. To buy the foundation building pills from outside, at least 20,000 spirit stones are needed, and you can't buy it on credit, you need to pay it all at once. Family, do you have money to buy me the foundation building pills? Lu Xuanji asked. In the past, even 200,000 spirit stones, let alone 200,000 spirit stones, were not a big deal. But now it's not possible, we can barely make do. Father Lu Jinwen said. Father, I have more than 8,000 spirit stones. He wanted to keep it in the small treasury, but he gritted his teeth, and took out the storage bag, and handed it over. 8,000 spirit stones, how do you have so many? Father asked in confusion. This is what the ancestor gave me, Lu Xuanji said. Anyway, if there is anything, just push it to the ancestor. Bully the dead and can't talk. I see. Father nodded. More than 8,000 spirit stones, although a bit too much. But for the level of the ancestor, it is nothing. According to the rules of the family, in terms of resource allocation, the Purple Mansion ancestors occupy the 5th floor, the Foundation Building cultivators occupy the 4th floor, and the remaining key training cultivators occupy the 1st floor. As a Purple Mansion cultivator, the ancestor Lu Fuming has the power to control the wealth of the 5th floor of the family. It is nothing to give the younger generation more than 10,000 spirit stones as pocket money. This is 16,000, and there is still 4,000 short to borrow from the family. Father Lu Jinwen thought about it, and planned to buy a foundation building pill for his son. His son was already at the 8th level of key training. It would take him 5 years at most to enter the 9th level of key training, and then he would continue to polish his foundation and refine his true key, which would take another 5 years at most. He must buy a foundation building pill for his son within 10 years. This way he can be prepared for any eventuality. He had to act now and look for channels to buy a foundation building pill for his son. The foundation building pill was very important. Only those with heavenly spiritual roots did not need a foundation building pill to succeed in building a foundation 100%. Those with different spiritual roots had a 7-level chance of success, and those with 2 spiritual roots had a 5-level chance of success. In history, there were cultivators with different spiritual roots and 2 spiritual roots who thought they were outstanding geniuses. They did not have a foundation building pill, but they tried to break through to the foundation building stage and finally perished on the spot. Don't gamble in life, because you can't afford to lose, and you only have 1 life. Even with a success rate of 9 levels, you may fail. Without a foundation building pill, breaking through to the foundation building realm means either success or death. With a foundation building pill, you can save your life even if you fail. Recently, don't bother yourself, just retreat to Changyuan Mountain. Father Lu Jinwen said, study more about spiritual plants and how to grow chalcedony. Simply relying on buying foundation building pills from outside is not only unstable in efficacy, but also limited in quantity. You must strive to be self-sufficient, rather than being strangled by others. The father kept admonishing his son, saying that his son was good in everything, except that he had a mysterious self-confidence, liked gambling, dared to fight, and dared to kill. With such a character, he was brave and aggressive, and progressed quickly. But the disadvantage was that he would easily bump into a wall and die directly. After saying something, Lu Xuanji left. On Changyuan Mountain, spiritual fields were opened up, spiritual medicines and spiritual herbs were planted, and some plans were made for the future. Most of the Lu family's industries were lost, leaving only some shops in the market and a spiritual stone mine. The family industry had shrunk, and they could only live frugally. Fortunately, the family was self-sufficient in terms of economy, and they produced spiritual medicines, spiritual rice, etc. themselves, so they did not need to purchase them from outside. Many low-level talismans or low-level magic tools were made by some elders of the family, and could be supplied to the family monks. Moreover, because there were no middlemen to make a profit, the profit was maintained at 20%, and the price would not be too high. In the cave of the Great Elder, it looked extremely simple, without any extra embellishment. The elder who originally liked luxury became extremely simple when rebuilding the Lu family after the destruction of his family. Looking at the cave, Lu Jinwen frowned slightly. Jinwen is here. Greetings, Uncle 7. The host and the guest sat down, and Lu Jinwen said, it's time to prepare the foundation building pill for Xuanji. This is a must. Lu Xianyi said, pills and people are always better than people waiting for pills. The foundation building pill can't be delayed. To buy the foundation building pill, at least 20,000 spirit stones are needed. How many do you have? 16,000 spirit stones, and the family needs to provide 4,000 spirit stones. Lu Jinwen said calmly. 4,000 spirit stones are not enough, at least 10,000 spirit stones must be provided, a total of 26,000. Lu Xianyi said the price. So expensive. Lu Jinwen said, subconsciously clenching his fists, and also felt that he was burning money. A lot of money? A lot. Lu Xianyi sneered. Some people want to use the foundation building pill to plunder the independent cultivators and low-level cultivators. Now, my Lu family has also become the target of plunder. We must train alchemists for the family, and the cultivation of spiritual medicines must also keep up. By the way, I have to stay in Changyuan Mountain and cannot move. This time you and Jinxiu go, and the 2 foundation building cultivators are enough to keep the foundation building pill. Chapter 38 Father is injured. According to the usual practice, after buying the foundation building pill, there will be cultivators who kill people and steal treasures on the way. When encountering a difficult stone, many cultivators will choose to give up. The combination of Lu Jinwen and Lu Jinxiu is enough to calm some cultivators down and give up the idea that they should not think about. Yes, Uncle Qi. Lu Xianyi said. However, in order to prevent certain people from taking action, Take this talisman. As he said, he handed over a jade talisman. There was lightning on the jade talisman, mixed together, and a terrifying aura flashed. It seemed that in a moment, it would burst out and turn into a blow from a purple mansion cultivator. This is a talisman refined by the ancestor, and it contains a blow from a purple mansion cultivator. Under this blow, the foundation building cultivator will definitely die. Lu Xianyi said domineeringly, the Lu family has fallen, but it is not something that ordinary cultivators can bully. If you want to eat up the whole family, then kill his whole family. There was murderous intent in his words, and a hint of crazy thoughts. The Lu family was very weak, but it was precisely because of weakness that they went crazy and frightened some unruly people. The more inferior a person is, the more he cares about his dignity. The weaker a person is, the more he pretends to be strong. Nephew understands. Lu Jinwen nodded. A hint of cruelty flashed in his eyes. The elder gave another instruction, took out some spirit stones, and handed them to the two. 3 days later, the two went down the mountain with more than 20,000 spirit stones, and went to the Yi family market to buy foundation building pills. In the Lu family, the annual salary of a foundation building cultivator is only 300 to 500 spirit stones. More than 20,000 spirit stones are equivalent to the income of a foundation building cultivator for 40 to 60 years. Such a huge sum of money is enough to attract some foundation building cultivators to kill and seize treasures. The elder planned to buy it himself, but finally gave up. The Lu family had just been established, and its foundation was unstable, so he couldn't leave. If he left, and the enemy succeeded in stealing the house, it would be a big loss. Some losses are unbearable for the Lu family. They should be more cautious. This is my test for them. The elder looked calm, with a hint of coldness in his calmness. A foundation building cultivator should be able to handle some crisis on his own, instead of relying on this old guy for everything. Elders Lu Jinwen and Lu Jingxiu went down the mountain, and went to the Yi family market, to look for foundation building pills. Foundation building pills have a shelf life. In the past, the Lu family would open the furnace to refine pills every 20 years, and give the refined foundation building pills to the family cultivators first, and sell the excess to the outside. If placed in a special pill bottle, it can be preserved for 20 years. If it is not properly preserved, it can only be preserved for 5 years at most. In the territory of Chu State, in several counties near Qingshu County, only the Yi family, Wu family, Danyang School, etc. sell foundation building pills, and the quality of the foundation building pills sold is guaranteed. Foundation building pills from other sources cannot guarantee the quality of the pills, and if there is a problem with the pills, people will die. Lu Jinwen arrived at the Yi family, and visited the head of the Yi family. He expressed his intention to buy foundation building pills and directly stated that he would buy them at a premium. 20,000 spirit stones is a good price. But last time, my Yi family refined 12 foundation building pills, 9 of which were consumed internally, and 3 were sold. Now, the Lu family has no stock, and it will take 12 years to refine the foundation building pill next time. 12 years later, when the Yi family's alchemist refines the foundation building pill, he will definitely give one to the Lu family. The head of the Yi family apologized. What a pity. Lu Jinwen said goodbye and left. Looking at Lu Jinwen who was leaving, the head of the Yi family had a complicated expression. The Yi family still had stock, and there were 2 foundation building pills to prepare for accidents, but they just wouldn't sell them to the Lu family. In the past, the Yi family and the Lu family were in a marriage relationship. On the one hand, they were competing for nearby mines, spiritual fields, population, etc. On the other hand, they were cooperating and jointly resisting the invasion of the Danyang faction. But when the Lu family fell, the Yi family took the lead in swallowing up a large amount of Lu family's property, and changed policies to suppress the Lu family. And this suppression was very obscure. Not long after, they went to the Wu family again. The Wu family said they had foundation building pills, but they had already agreed to sell them to the 2 foundation building cultivators who had recently joined the Wu family, and there was no stock left. If you want to get the foundation building pills, you have to wait 10 years. Third brother, they are too much, Lu Jingxiu said angrily. Lu Jinwen didn't say anything, but his eyes were also spitting fire. failed to buy the foundation building pill. They are too ruthless. Whether it's the Wu family or the Yi family, they said 10 years later, 13 years later, and the changes would be too big by then. But knowing that these were excuses, Lu Jinwen could only accept them. Time was passing, and in the blink of an eye, another 8 years had passed. Crack. Crack. The aura on his body changed, the bottleneck was broken, and Lu Xuanji entered the 9th level of key training. In the Danshan, 9 spiritual energy vortices were rotating, representing the 9th level of key training. As the vortex rotated, spiritual energy from the outside world was absorbed into the body and refined into strands of true energy, nourishing the body and soul, and the cultivation was improving little by little. Life was slowly transforming. Finally achieved the 9th level of key training. Lu Xuanji was only 48 years old. According to the recognized rules of the cultivation world, those who entered the 9th level of key training before the age of 60 could be considered a genius. When the Lu family was strong, it was stipulated that, as long as you entered the 9th level of key training before the age of 60, you would be given a foundation building pill, and you could buy it on credit, if you didn't have money. It was very difficult to enter the 9th level of key training before the age of 60. There was no hope for 5 spiritual roots, and little hope for 4 spiritual roots, but only 3 spiritual roots could reach it. Specifically, on average, only 2 or 3 cultivators out of 100 could reach the 9th level of key training before the age of 60. The grade of spiritual roots had a huge impact on cultivators. When he walked out of the cave, Yi Fixu was waiting outside. She was already at the 9th level of key training. A year ago, he entered the 9th level of key training, more than a year faster than Lu Xuanji. Brother, you are out of retreat. Yi Fixu said with a melancholy expression. Grand Elder, I have something to ask you. What happened? Lu Xuanji asked anxiously. I don't know. Yi Fixu said, looking a little uneasy, vaguely guessing some truths, but couldn't say it. A moment later, he met the Grand Elder. Lu Xianyi said, Xuanji, I didn't intend to influence you, but at this moment, I have to say something. Just 3 years ago, your father Lu Jinwen, and your 6th aunt Lu Jingxiu, and others bought elixirs for you, but on the way, they encountered a strong enemy and were injured. Chapter 39 Impacting the Foundation. Father was injured. Who did it? Lu Xuanji asked. I have some guesses, but I'm not sure. This time your father and 6th aunt went out to buy foundation building pills for you, but many markets said they were out of stock. Some people said they would give you one in 10 years, and some said they would give you one in 20 years. The Great Elder said, on the way, your father and 6th aunt encountered a robbery by a cultivator bandit. I prepared a talisman for your father that can seriously injure a cultivator in the late stage of foundation building. But that person still injured your father, robbed more than 20,000 spirit stones, and disappeared. There are forces that are hostile and suppressing my Lu family. Not only is your foundation building pill gone, but 2 foundation building cultivators in the family are also seriously injured. They need to rest for 10 years to recover, and they need to spend thousands of spirit stones to buy pills to heal their injuries. That person is smart to seriously injure but not kill. The Great Elder flashed a trace of murderous intent. Great Elder, is there any trick? Lu Xuanji asked humbly. The Great Elder said, back then, the ancestor responded to the call of the Danliang sect and went to Teeling Pass to resist the invasion of monsters. He was injured in that battle and passed away prematurely, which attracted the attack of the Yanliang Patriarch. As a result, the Danliang sect failed to rescue him in time, causing the Lu family to suffer heavy losses and almost be wiped out. The Danliang sect owes my Lu family a favor. At this moment, a cultivator of my Lu family was killed by a cultivator bandit. The Danliang sect, concerned about its reputation, will spend a lot of effort to find the cultivator bandit. No matter how well the cultivator bandit hides, how can he withstand the investigation of the Danliang sect? He will inevitably reveal his true colors and face being hunted down or fleeing from the state of Chu. But he only seriously injured 2 foundation building cultivators of my Lu family, but did not kill them. It is not easy for me to mobilize this little favor. The elder was full of melancholy. That bandit cultivator had grasped the Lu family too accurately. Injured but not dead, seemingly merciful, but in fact the greatest harm. Just like a wounded soldier on the battlefield is more of a burden to the troops than a dead soldier. Is it possible to leave the wounded alone? No, because it will shake the morale of the army. Similarly, if the two foundation building cultivators of the Lu family were killed directly, it would anger the Lu family, and under the counterattack of the Lu family, those hostile forces would also suffer heavy losses. But it was only a serious injury, and it would take 10 years of recuperation to recover. It was not worth it for the Lu family to lose favor. In the same 10 years, the two wounded were seriously injured and could not contribute to the family. Instead, the family had to provide spiritual medicines, elixirs, etc. for the two wounded to recuperate, and it cost a lot of spiritual stones. Between the increase and the decrease, the Lu family suffered heavy losses, which invisibly suppressed the Lu family. Returning to the cave, he saw his father. His father was recovering from his injuries, and Lu Xuanji stepped forward to talk to his father and left. Returning to the door of the cave, he happened to meet Yifixu. "Brother, I'll take care of everything," Yifixu said. Subconsciously, she went forward to hug Lu Xuanji and comfort him. Lu Xuanji did not refuse. He hugged Yifixu and murmured to himself, "Father and 6th Art Board Foundation establishment pills for me," but they were seriously injured. Fortunately, they are not in danger of life. When the wall falls, everyone pushes it, and when the drum is broken, everyone beats it. They all want to eat up the whole family, and they all want to watch my Lu family fall, and then gnaw on my Lu family's corpse, and go one step further. But I just don't want them to have their wishes, and I just don't want them to feel relaxed. I not only want to live, but also love to the purple mansion, and love to the golden pill. Brother, I believe in you, Yifixu said firmly. Xiaoxu, if things are impossible, you can leave alone. Lu Xuanji said, the current situation is very unfavorable to us. Someone is eyeing the Lu family. They may not be able to destroy the Lu family head on, but they will trip up the Lu family and use various insidious means to continuously deplete the Lu family's strength. Brother, I'll take care of everything. Yifixu said, if my brother dies, I will not live alone. Little girl, what nonsense are you talking about? Lu Xuanji said, this is for you. He took out some books from the storage bag and handed them to Yifixu. There were dozens of these books, which contained various volumes of exercises, as well as various books on alchemy, refining, making talismans, array formations, spiritual plants, puppets, and so on. Dharma, companions, wealth, and land are the four elements of immortal cultivation. With the decline of the Lu family, the best spiritual mountain is gone, and there are no money and spiritual stones. Even the foundation building cultivators are 3 old men. There are only 100,000 volumes of books stored in the mobile phone. Screening from these 100,000 books, dozens of books were selected and given to Yifixu. Bid farewell to Yifixu, and enter the cave. Lu Xuanji closed the cave, and began to polish his true key. After honing his true key for a month, he planned to impact the foundation building realm. No longer extravagantly expect a foundation building pill, nor do they plan to wait any longer. The Yi family and the Wu family said that they would give the Lu family a foundation building pill each in 10 years, but who knows if there will be any changes by then. There is no need to wait to impact the foundation building period now. Many cultivators at the 9th level of key training, because they don't have foundation building pills, can only keep honing their true key, spells, and combat skills when their cultivation cannot be improved. They have reached the point of perfection in combat skills and are extremely keen in grasping the opportunity of war. This is the peak of the 9th level of key training. The gap between the 9th level of key training and the peak of key training is in combat skills. But many times, this peak of the 9th level of key training is very embarrassing. Even the 9th level of key training with advanced combat skills will be defeated by a cultivator at the 1st level of foundation building. Because after entering the foundation building period, the human body will undergo marrow washing and hair removal, and the physical fitness will be greatly improved. The volume of the danshan will expand by more than 1 time, and the quality of the true key will also increase by more than 1 time. Just entering the foundation building period will also crush the 9th level of key training. Entering the foundation building period as soon as possible is more cost effective than simply honing combat skills. Taking a deep breath, Xuanji adjusted his state. Recalling the past, it has been 48 years since he was reincarnated into this world. When I first came to this world, I was nervous, fearful, uneasy, and also a little happy. Because I can live forever here. There are thousands of magics and infinite ways. I only ask one question. Can I live forever? Only the way to live forever is the good way. But later, I was nervous, afraid that I had no spiritual roots, and would become immortal. I was also afraid that I had 5 spiritual roots, and would only be at the 3rd level of key training, after practicing hard for a lifetime. Fortunately, I was lucky. Awakening 3 spiritual roots is also considered a genius in the family. Now, it is finally time to achieve foundation building. Take a deep breath, suppress the impetuousness in your heart, take out a 1000-year-old nether grass, and start making the final preparations. The 1000-year nether grass can increase the probability of foundation building. Without the foundation building pill, can't you build a foundation? Not at all. Many cultivators have successfully built a foundation without the foundation building pill. Without the foundation building pill, there are still other pills or spiritual medicines that can increase the probability of foundation building. The biggest effect of the foundation building pill is not to help cultivators build a foundation, but to provide a bottom line, but insurance. After the foundation building fails, the foundation building pill can save the cultivator's life. But other spiritual medicines or pills can only simply increase the probability of foundation building, and cannot save the life after failure. Chapter 40 Ancestor Jin. Mobile phone. Deduce the probability of my success in foundation building? Xuanji asked. Host, rarely takes pills. Pill poison is rare. Can increase the success rate of 3 layers. With the 1000-year-old nether grass, can increase the probability of 2 layers. Total probability of 5 layers. It is recommended that the host buy the foundation building pill and take it. With the foundation building pill as a foundation, the host can save his life even if he fails. Save your life. Xuanji said lightly. Children want to take risks. Adults want to buy insurance. I don't need insurance. Half life and half death is enough. If I can't succeed, I'm willing to sit here. In the previous life, he was mediocre and didn't even have the chance to fight. Now for immortality, he is willing to take a gamble. In ancient times, there was no foundation building pill, but there were still cultivators who achieved the foundation building stage. Nowadays, many cultivators do not have foundation building pills, but they can also successfully build their foundation. Take a deep breath and swallow the 1000-year-old nether grass directly. Immediately, the medicinal power of the nether grass was refined, entered the body, and stored in the flesh. Then he circulated his true ki, and began to impact the foundation building period. There are 3 disasters in the foundation building period, 9 difficulties in the purple palace, and 12 disasters in the golden elixir period. There are 3 disasters in the impact of the foundation building period, namely, the disaster of the true essence, the disaster of the physical body, and the disaster of the mind. They correspond to the spirit, energy, and spirit respectively. Xuanji took a deep breath, circulated his mind, compressed the 9 true ki vortices, and continuously compressed the true ki to compress the true ki into true essence. It is not easy to compress the true ki into true essence, from gas to liquid. There is a qualitative change between the two. Once the compression is successful, the true essence can nourish the physical body and improve the level of life. The lifespan will be increased by more than 1 time, and the lifespan will exceed 200 years. At the same time, the attack power and explosive power of the true essence are far superior to the true ki. The true ki is constantly compressed, the vortex is constantly shrinking, and the true ki is constantly compressed. But as the true ki is compressed, the rebound force is also increasing. As time goes by, the true ki is compressed to the extreme. Xuanji also feels a little tired, but he can't relax at all. It's the most critical moment. If the compression fails, the compressed ki will explode, instantly blasting the danshan into pieces, and the person will be seriously injured and die on the spot. Right now, Xuanji took a deep breath and compressed the ki. The ki was compressed to the extreme and began to liquefy. The first trace of ki was born. Like a chain reaction, the key was constantly liquefying, and the key was deposited in the Danshan. After the majestic key was compressed into key, less than 1% remained. It was done. The key disaster was past. At this moment, with a large amount of key converted into key, the key was deposited in the Danshan like mercury. The Danshan carried the key, and gradually became overwhelmed and broke apart. The physical disaster was coming. Xiang Mountain, at this time, welcomed a new owner. On Xiang Mountain, the ancestor of the Yi family greeted them respectfully. Behind them was a woman wearing white palace clothes, with a beautiful face and graceful figure. She carried a long sword on her back. When she walked, the vitality of heaven and earth resonated, as if a banished immortal had descended. The cultivators of the Yi family subconsciously lowered their heads, not daring to peek at the woman in palace clothes. Yi Liuan said respectfully, "Ancestor Jin, this mountain is Xiang Mountain, which was originally the territory of the Lu family. Unfortunately, the Lu family provoked a rival in the past, and after that rival grew into the Purple Mansion stage, he took revenge on the Lu family, and the ancestor of the Lu family, Lu Fuming, happened to pass away. The ancestor Yan Yang took revenge on the Lu family, and defeated the Lu family in one fell swoop. Most of the Lu family cultivators were killed, and only a few remnants escaped. Afterwards, Xiang Mountain was temporarily taken over by my Yi family. The Lu family wanted to sell it to my Yi family, but my Yi family did not need it, and had no money to buy it, so we just dragged it on. Ancestor Jin is going to settle down in my Chu state, so it's just right that I'll give this Xiang Mountain to you." Xiang Mountain, after being looted by bandits, many valuables were looted, but a lot of infrastructure was not destroyed. It only needs to be operated for 1 or 2 years to become stable and prosperous and turn into a supreme blessed land. Xiang Mountain is good. The spiritual veins here have reached the peak of level 3. It only needs a level 4 formation to lay out the formation to build the spiritual veins. It can evolve into a level 4 spiritual vein in 10 years at most. I'm lucky and got some bargains, Ancestor Jin said while observing the surroundings. However, how much does this spiritual mountain cost? Of course, it is given to you for free, Yi Liuan said respectfully. This Ancestor Jin, although she looks like a young girl, is a giant and cultivator in terms of cultivation. Not to mention in the Danliang sect, even in the Chu state, she is also a well-known figure. This ancestor stayed in the Chu state and took charge of one side. When the demon disaster and monster disaster came, it could also relieve some pressure for the Yi family. The Yi family welcomed the arrival of this ancestor. Forget about it for free. The weak fear the consequences, while the strong fear the causes. Patriarch Jin said, I don't want to owe you karma, so how much is the price of Xiang Mountain? Yi Liuan pondered and said, in order to build Xiang Mountain, cultivate underground spiritual veins, and set up formations, the Lu family has spent millions of spirit stones for several generations. In addition to the spiritual fields, caves, medicine gardens, etc. here, the value should be 1.2 million. Now, the descendants of the Lu family are still alive, and Patriarch Jin can give it to the descendants of the Lu family. However, the Lu family is in a bad situation now. There are only 3 foundation building elders in charge. If you give 1,000,000 spirit stones directly, it will harm the Lu family. It happens that recently, 2 younger generations of the Lu family have reached the 9th level of key training, close to the foundation building realm. Patriarch Jin can give the Lu family 2 foundation building pills to protect the Lu family. Buy 1,000,000 spirit stones from Xiang Mountain, and wait until the Lu family gives birth to a purple mansion cultivator, and then repay it. Okay. Patriarch Jin nodded. He took out a bottle with 2 foundation building pills in it and said, this is for the Lu family. Thank you, ancestor. Yi Liuan said gratefully, and took the bottle. He was somewhat happy for the Lu family. In the past, the Lu family was an ally and they even intermarried, but with the decline of the Lu family, the relationship between the 2 families was declining. Not long ago, the Lu family came to buy foundation building pills, but the head of the Yi family refused. Yi Liuan was also helpless. The Lu family had done him a favor, and on some issues, he should speak for the Lu family. But he was still the ancestor of the Yi family, and he had to stand on the side of the Yi family on some issues of interest, so he could only choose to remain silent. The only thing he could do was to say a good word for the Lu family here. Sure enough, the ancestor Jin just did it casually, and the Lu family got a great benefit. After the handover, Yi Liuan went directly to Changyuan Mountain and met the elder of the Lu family, talking about the things of the ancestor Jin. Ancestor Jin is merciful. The elder Lu Xianyi said respectfully. Here are 2 foundation building pills. Check them. He handed over the pill bottle. The elder took the bottle and carefully checked it. He was happy. He thought there was no hope for the foundation building pills, but later on, there was a ray of hope. He found more foundation building pills. The elder went to Lu Xuanji's cave to tell him the good news. But at the door of the cave, he felt a terrifying aura leaking out. Lu Xuanji was in seclusion to attack the foundation. The foundation building pills were useless. Chapter 41 Achievement of Foundation Building. Boom boom boom. In the cave, Lu Xuanji was experiencing a life and death catastrophe. After the true key was transformed into true essence, the true essence became more condensed, and the destructive power became stronger, constantly tearing the Danshan and meridians. The Danshan was broken, and the meridians were also broken. Severe pain came, the flesh was constantly torn, the Danshan seemed to be pierced by a sword, the heart was in pain, the body was in pain. The body was in pain everywhere, as if it was tortured. In the pain, Lu Xuanji practiced the skills, absorbed the spiritual energy from the outside world, transformed it into true essence, repaired the Danshan, and repaired the meridians. At the same moment, the Danshan was broken again, and the meridians were broken again. In this way, while the flesh was constantly breaking, it was constantly repairing, and it was constantly reincarnated. In this intense pain, a voice seemed to say, "This is a dream. Let it go. Let it go. Why is there so much pain in life? It is because you are unwilling to let go. Learn to let go, and life will be much happier." Lu Xuanji gritted his teeth, his eyes bloodshot, took a deep breath, and continued to practice the technique. The violent true energy impacted his meridians, and the fierce pain continued to impact him. It seemed that every muscle was being torn apart, as if he was experiencing the 10 tortures of the Qing dynasty. Bang! At this moment, Lu Xuanji was forced to faint from the pain. When a person suffers from severe pain, he will fall into a coma. The coma is a self-protection for humans. At the moment of coma, even if Lu Xuanji lost control, the technique was automatically running, constantly absorbing the spiritual energy from the outside world. The medicinal power of the 1,000-year-old nether grass was being digested, and the medicinal power was constantly integrated into the body, nourishing the flesh, repairing the Danshan and meridians. In the continuous tearing and repairing, the volume of the Danshan was expanding, and the meridians were widening. Time was passing, and after an unknown period of time, Lu Xuanji became conscious and subconsciously opened his eyes. But when he opened his eyes, he felt sore all over, and his body was weak and powerless, as if he was paralyzed. At this moment, the spiritual energy from the outside world nourished the body, and repaired the injuries. I failed to build the foundation. There are 3 difficulties in building the foundation. If I just get through the first difficulty, I will fail at the second difficulty. I thought I was Long A Ocean, but who would have thought that I was just an arrogant person? Lu Xuanji smiled bitterly. Before building the foundation, Lu Xuanji was very confident, but only after experiencing it, he found that he was just a mortal. I failed to build the foundation, and I can only try next time. Wait a minute, it seems that I didn't take the foundation building pill. If the foundation building fails, I will definitely die. But why am I still alive if I failed to build the foundation? Could it be that the foundation building was successful? Lu Xuanji couldn't figure out whether he succeeded or failed, so he pulled the rope in front of the bed. The rope was pulled, and the bell rang. After a while, the stone door of the cave opened, and Yi Fixu's eyes flashed with sadness. The elder also had a solemn expression, his eyes full of worry. But when he saw Lu Xuanji's condition, he laughed. Congratulations, you have successfully built your foundation without the foundation building pill. No, I fainted from the pain when I was trying to break through the physical body. I think I failed to build my foundation. Lu Xuanji said. No, you succeeded. The elder said, sometimes fainting from pain is a good thing. Don't you wonder why there are no cultivators telling about their experiences in building their foundation? Xuanji then found something wrong. He read a lot of books, all kinds of books, covering all aspects, but there was no experience of cultivators breaking through the foundation building period. At that time, he thought the books were incomplete, but now it seems that this is not the case at all. There is a big secret. The elder said, it is too painful to impact the foundation building stage. No one wants to recall such pain. And sometimes, ignorance is bliss. At least you dare to challenge the unknown. But if you know too much, you will be afraid and dare not challenge difficulties. In the books, there are only 3 disasters of foundation building, but no specific description. I can talk about it here. Drive Yifixu out. It is better not to say it in front of girls. If you say too much, it is easy to scare girls. Wait for Yifixu to leave. The great elder told some secrets. The 3 disasters of foundation building are the disaster of true essence, the disaster of physical body, and the disaster of spiritual consciousness. The first step of foundation building is to compress the true key and compress the 9 true key vortices into true essence. This step is extremely difficult. There are cultivators at the 9th level who fail at this step. Failure to compress the true key causes a true key to explode in the danshan, shatter the danshan, and die on the spot. If you take the foundation building pill, you can make the true key softer, reduce the hostility, and compress the true key relatively easy, which can increase the probability of 1 level. The second disaster is the disaster of the physical body. As it is compressed into true essence, the meridians and danshan will not be able to withstand the pressure of the true essence, and will explode directly, but at the same time, the true essence will repair the meridians and danshan. In this process of breaking and then building, once it can no longer hold on, the danshan and meridians will completely explode and die on the spot. But if it can hold on, the volume of the danshan will expand, and the meridians will become broad and tough. If you take the foundation building pill, the medicinal power will reduce part of the pain in the physical body and increase the probability of 1 level. The third disaster is the disaster of spiritual consciousness. It has evolved into true essence and the danshan has expanded, but it is still not a foundation building cultivator. Further transformation is needed, and the spirit and soul have undergone slight transformation. There is no need to deliberately practice the exercises. The exercises will run automatically, endlessly, and transform spiritual energy into true essence. If you take the foundation building pill and the medicinal power enters the body, it will make the body temporarily compatible with the spiritual energy and maintain it in an endless state. If the exercises are still running automatically after the medicinal power dissipates, absorbing external spiritual energy, it is regarded as entering the foundation building period. If the exercises stop running and stop absorbing external spiritual energy after the medicinal power dissipates, it is regarded as a failure of foundation building. The third step is also the most difficult one, but I fell at the second step and fainted under the disaster of the physical body. Xuanji said ashamedly. Not just you, 99 out of 100 cultivators will faint directly because of the severe pain. The elder sighed. There is one who did not faint under the severe pain, but died of the pain. Xuanji, the elder said, you fainted from the pain, but at the moment of fainting, the technique automatically operated, endlessly absorbing the spiritual energy from the outside world, transformed into true essence. The second and third difficulties were naturally passed. After a while, the elder left. Xuanji was still in seclusion, comprehending the mysteries of the foundation building period. When he practiced the Blue Lotus creation art, a stream of spiritual energy suddenly entered his body and meridians like a vortex. Part of the spiritual energy was refined and precipitated in the danshan, transforming into true essence. Part of the true energy was refined, nourishing the body, and transforming into the foundation of longevity. The technique was running endlessly, and even if he stopped, spiritual energy continued to flow into his body, and was constantly refined. If you practice the exercises, you can practice faster, and absorb spiritual energy faster, 10 times faster than in the key training stage. It's too fast. This is a horror of the foundation building stage. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel. Mundo fanfic novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42, Spring Breezewood Spirit Art. As if thinking of something, Xuanji turned on his mobile phone. Destiny Deduction was running, deducing the foundation building skills that matched him. At the same time, the skills stored in documents were constantly being sorted out and summarized. Deduction on the mobile phone. It takes 10 days to complete the deduction. While the mobile phone was deducing, Xuanji was also trying to deduce. So that's how it is. The skills at the foundation building level absorb spiritual energy faster, which is more conducive to the evolution of life and the improvement of cultivation. Xuanji flipped through it and suddenly realized it. The foundation building realm is divided into 9 levels. When the true essence fills the danshan and the danshan can no longer accommodate the true essence can be used to break the danshan and then reshape the danshan again. After the reshaping, the volume of the danshan will expand. Each time the danshan is reshaped, it is a new transformation. After 9 transformations, you can try to impact the purple mansion period. 10 days later, Destiny Deduction ended, and the foundation building skills of the Kinglian creation art were deduced. Running the skills, absorbing spiritual energy faster. After half a day, the spiritual energy in the spirit cave was completely consumed. The area of the spirit cave needs to be expanded, and the mobile phone needs to be upgraded. The computing power of the mobile phone is obviously insufficient now. Feeling the changes in the mobile phone, he couldn't help but frown slightly. After entering the foundation building period, the storage capacity and computing power of the mobile phone are relatively insufficient and need to be upgraded. 1 catty of red iron, 1 catty of black iron, 2 teals of secret gold, 2 teals of black silver, 2 catties of infinite wood, 2 teals of condensed gold. Looking at these spiritual metals, Xuanji breathed a sigh of relief. These materials are common materials and the price is cheap. Only 130 spirit stones are needed to buy them in some nearby markets. It is not difficult to upgrade the mobile phone. Walking out of the cave, Xuanji was very excited and very happy. But at this moment, he got a message that Jifixu was in seclusion, impacting the foundation building realm. She is in seclusion. Xuanji flashed a trace of impatience. Don't worry about her. The heavenly spirit route will definitely become a foundation building realm. I'm not worried about her at all, the elder said calmly. She is only 35 years old, and she has become a foundation building cultivator. The sage is too easy to attract attention. Xuanji also had a slight headache. Xiaoxu told me some ideas, and I agreed. Our ideas are indeed safe, but they are too safe, the elder said. We don't have time. Xuanji was silent. Yes, there is no time. When the wall falls, everyone pushes it, and when the drum is broken, everyone hammers it. Many times, the more you want to be safe, the more you want to be safe, the less safe you are, and the less safe you are. These are 2 foundation building pills. Not long ago, Patriarch Jin occupied Xiang Mountain and promised to protect my Lu family and give 2 foundation building pills. If there are cultivators in my Lu family, they can go to Xiang Mountain to collect 1.2 million spirit stones after entering the purple mansion. The elder said, this Patriarch Jin is quite generous. 2 foundation building pills are late. Xuanji said regretfully. Foundation building pills can only be preserved for 20 years at most. Unfortunately, no one in my Lu family is qualified to take foundation building pills. What a pity. The elder sighed, exerted his strength in his hands, and immediately crushed 2 foundation building pills, which turned into powder. With a gust of wind, they dissipated in the air. Elder, this is more than 30,000 spirit stones. Xuanji looked at this scene and felt distressed. Is it a pity? The elder smiled. There is nothing to regret. You can't use it, and Xiaoxu can't use it either, so you can only destroy it. As for selling it on the black market, it is not safe. Remember, you took a foundation building pill and successfully entered the foundation building stage. Xiaoxu also took a foundation building pill and entered the foundation building stage. Yes, I understand. Xuanji nodded. 3 days later, Yifixu came out of retreat and had entered the foundation building stage. Lu Xuanji stepped forward to ask, and Yifixu answered. According to her description, it was easy to compress the true key and turn it into true essence during the retreat. Then, in the process of facing the shattering of the Danshan and the shattering of the meridians, she fainted in the severe pain. When she woke up, she had already entered the foundation building period. She asked for some data again, and saved and analyzed it on her mobile phone. She vaguely came to a conclusion that the success or failure of foundation building depends on the strength of the soul. Why is the heavenly spiritual root bound to succeed in foundation building? It is because the heavenly spiritual root has a single attribute and is highly efficient in utilizing spiritual energy, and part of the spiritual energy nourishes the soul. When it comes to the 9th level of key training, the soul of the heavenly spiritual root cultivator is much stronger than that of cultivators with other attributes, so it is inevitable to build a foundation. On the contrary, those with 4 or 5 spiritual roots are all round development, and their spiritual energy utilization efficiency is low. It is better to be specialized than to be broad, especially in the early stages. The Lu family gave birth to 2 foundation building cultivators, and the elders' eyes were happy. These 2 people are the future of the Lu family. The elders said, "You are the future of the Lu family. I can't help you too much in the future. You can only walk on your own. However, there are some things that need to be explained. Xiaoxu, you have a natural spiritual root. You will definitely become a giant and cultivator in the future, but you will definitely not be tolerated by cultivators. If there is no big thing, don't go out easily. 9 Heavens Flame Art can only be cultivated to the 3rd level of the Purple Mansion. The rest needs you to go out and find it." Ancestor, I understand. Yifixu nodded. Xuanji, you are precocious and mature, so I won't say much about other things. The elder said, it was a bit early, but I planned to teach you the little magical power, Spring Breezewood Spirit Technique, in advance. Spring Breezewood Spirit Technique. Lu Xuan was slightly puzzled. There are many books collected in the mobile phone, but there is no news about Spring Breezewood Spirit Art. Don't think about it. Many secret methods are passed down orally, and are not recorded in writing. The elder said, there is a difference between cultivator's skills and magic. The skills are used to absorb spiritual energy, improve realms, and seek immortality. The magic is mainly for killing and fighting, and exists for protecting the way and fighting. Magic spells are divided into minor skills and magical powers. For example, Fireball spell, Windblade spell, Wind control spell, Quicksand spell, Freezing spell, Sound transmission spell, Rejuvenation spell, Spiritual rain spell, etc. are all minor skills. Minor skills are simple and easy to learn, with low attribute requirements. Even cultivators at the 1st level of key training can practice them. The disadvantage is that they are not powerful. Above minor skills, there are magical powers. Magical powers are divided into minor magical powers, major magical powers, and supreme magical powers. Spring Breezewood Spirit Art is a book of minor magical powers. To cultivate minor supernatural powers, the minimum threshold is to build a foundation. Only the Purple Palace can exert its power. When you reach the Golden Core stage, minor supernatural powers are still not outdated. It is very difficult to get started with minor supernatural powers. It took me 10 years to get started. After practicing for 50 years, I have achieved minor supernatural powers. The elder said, and pointed his finger. He pointed at Lu Xuanji's eyebrows, and a divine thought was transmitted. It was the method of practicing Spring Breezewood Spirit Art. So that's it. Lu Xuanji closed his eyes and comprehended it, and at the same time, saved it in his mobile phone. He read it roughly and was shocked. This is just a book of minor supernatural powers, but its effect is not small at all. It has 4 major advantages. The first advantage is that it can absorb the energy of plants and trees to speed up the practice. It is not like deliberately staying in the cave and absorbing the spiritual energy in the spirit cave. The second advantage is that you can use the energy of the spiritual wood to heal your wounds, which can be called an ani. The third advantage is that you can use the energy of the spiritual wood to repair the hidden injuries of the body and prolong your life, which is 20 years longer than the cultivators of the same realm. The fourth advantage is that you can use the wood spirit to cultivate and ripen spiritual medicines. This means that you have a stable income. As for the disadvantage, it is that you are not good at fighting. To practice this little magical power, you must have a wood attribute spiritual root, a foundation building period, and a very high level of understanding. There were more than 20 foundation building cultivators in the Lu family, but only 3 of them could practice the spring breeze wood spirit technique. If you can't get started within 10 years, just give up. Chapter 43, Banquet for Guests. At the moment, when Lu Xuanji was comprehending the spring breeze spirit wood art, the great elder was also teaching Yi Fixu the minor magical power, heavenly fire art. The heavenly fire art mainly transforms the internal ki into the supreme heavenly fire. Unlike the spring breeze wood spirit art, which is mainly for assistance and healing, the heavenly fire art is a pure killing art and attack secret art. Yi Fixu was comprehending the heavenly fire art and was also in enlightenment. Lu Xuanji took a look and memorized the heavenly fire art, intending to learn a little later. Seeing the two people's enlightenment, the great elder couldn't help but smile. Entering the foundation building period, the first 2 or 3 years is also the period when the mind is most active, and it is also the time when it is easiest to have enlightenment. Many cultivators will choose to practice hard in seclusion and adjust their understanding. Time passed, and after a year, the aura on Yi Fixu's body was changing, and a flame of destruction rose from her body. After a long time, the flame was converging, changing, and returning to calm. But Yi Fixu opened her eyes, and there seemed to be a flame burning in her pupils. The breath of destruction was surging. This was pure destruction. Apart from destruction, there was nothing else. Because it was pure, it was powerful, and because it was pure, it was terrifying. After a moment, the breath of destruction converged, and the flame on the pupil disappeared. The pupil converged its light, and turned into a normal appearance. But at this moment, in Yi Fixu's danshan, there was a talisman engraved with true energy. This talisman was called the Heavenly Fire Talisman. Heavenly Fire Art has entered the door. Condensing the first Heavenly Fire Talisman is just entering the door. Condensing 9 Heavenly Fire Talismans is considered a small success. Condensing 36 Heavenly Fire Talismans is considered a great success. Only when 64 Heavenly Fire Talismans are condensed, it represents perfection. Use the talisman to lead the way and evolve supernatural powers. The power is average in the early stage, but the more you reach the later stage, the more terrifying the power. The beginning is relatively easy and takes less time. The later it takes, the longer it takes, and the greater the difficulty. A genius. The elder commented. He didn't want to say anything extra, because it was unnecessary. At this time, Lu Xuanji was still comprehending. The elder's expression changed slightly. He once thought that this descendant had a special physique, but after entering the foundation building stage, he found that he was wrong. This descendant was just a mortal body, without a special physique, but with amazing comprehension. At this moment, Lu Xuanji's body was changing dramatically, and a rich wood spirit rose up and turned into a towering tree. The tree was extremely tall, spanning the starry sky and crossing the chaos. The roots under its feet extended to the dark netherworld, the treetops above its head connected to the fairyland and drew a stream of spirit. It only lasted for 3 breaths, and the strange phenomenon disappeared. Then, the Yi wood spirit rose up and turned into a blue lotus. The Li fire spirit rose and changed, turning into flames, surrounding the blue lotus, and the Wu earth spirit rose, precipitated under the blue lotus, and turned into nutrients for the blue lotus. The 3 are perfectly combined. Soil nourishes wood, and wood helps fire. The vision is constantly rising and changing, and after a long time, it dissipates, as if it does not exist. But as the skills are running, it is constantly absorbing the spiritual energy from the outside world, and the spiritual energy turns into vortices, surging towards his body, endlessly. The speed of absorbing spiritual energy is too fast. It is 5 levels faster than the normal foundation building cultivator. Self-created skills perfectly match the 3 attributes of oneself. The elder flashed a trace of surprise. Low-level cultivators rarely create their own skills. First, their lifespan is limited, and time is precious. so they don't have time to create their own skills. Second, their knowledge is limited, and their understanding isn't sufficient, so they are not enough to create their own skills. In summary, the cost effectiveness is too poor, and it is not worth it. Many low-level cultivators mostly learn the skills of their predecessors. Only after the golden elixir, the lifespan becomes extremely long, close to 1,000 years of life, which allows cultivators to constantly comprehend various skills, learn from the advantages of hundreds of schools, and create their own skills. Self-created skills can better fit oneself, and improve the speed of cultivation. Of course, if you are very lucky, and happen to encounter a skill that fits oneself, and the compatibility rate with oneself is 100%, there is no need to demand that you create your own skills. It is very difficult to create your own skills. Without amazing talent and understanding, a long life, and rich knowledge and experience, it is difficult to reach that step. But Xuanji has just stepped into the foundation building cultivator, and he has a long way to go to create his own skills. After a long time, Xuanji restrained his breath and completely stabilized his cultivation. The green lotus creation art perfectly fits himself, and the speed of cultivation is accelerating. The spring breezewood spirit art is also the entry point. In the Danshan, 3 spiritual woods are engraved. "How do you feel?" asked the elder. "It feels great," Xuanji said, in a cheerful mood. "It's better than ever before." "That's good." The great elder smiled. "Since you have become foundation building cultivators, you should hold a big banquet, entertain guests, and celebrate with great fanfare." After the emergence of foundation building cultivators, the cultivation families will also celebrate with great fanfare. It is not only a reflection of strength, but also can boost the morale of the family. This kind of excitement is more festive than a wedding in the previous life. Foundation building cultivators affect the fate of some small families, and determine the future of some small families. Even in the Danliang sect, foundation building cultivators are regarded as backbone figures who influence future changes in the pattern. They are the seeds of Purple Mansion cultivators, and belong to the level of elders or inner disciples. The Danliang sect only counts the subordinate forces, how many foundation building cultivators they have, and imposes taxes on the foundation building cultivators. Chapter 44 Uncle Lu Xianwen. Xuanji, I know you are a low-key person who doesn't like to stir up trouble or show off, but you have to celebrate. After building your foundation, it can not only boost the morale of the family, but also enhance the cohesion of the family. If people's hearts are scattered, it will be difficult to lead the team. But as long as people's hearts are not chaotic, there will be no big problems. The 2 major Purple Mansion families nearby and the 18 foundation building families should be invited to come and exchange some feelings. On the one hand, our families are constantly competing with each other, but on the other hand, we have to join forces to fight against the Danliang sect and the oppression of the Danliang sect. When talking about the latter, the elder's face was solemn, and he began to tell Xuanji something. These things were not necessary to know in the past, but after Xuanji built his foundation, he was qualified to know. The Danliang sect was one of the 3 major sects in Chu State, occupying the 12 counties of Chu State, and had about 300 cultivator families under its jurisdiction. The continuous collection of taxes and tributes from the subordinate cultivator families led to the Danliang sect becoming more and more wealthy, while many cultivator families became increasingly poor. It takes 20 years for a cultivator to reach the peak of key training after joining the Danliang sect, but it takes 30 or even 40 years to reach the peak of key training after staying in the family. Similarly, if a cultivator family wants to buy a foundation building pill, it often needs 15,000 spirit stones, but in the Danliang sect, it only needs 10,000 spirit stones to buy it. In the Danliang sect, the foundation building pill is not only cheap, but also abundant. The Danliang sect has abundant resources, which has led to many geniuses in the family joining the Danliang sect. The elders and patriarchs in the family cannot stop it, because blocking the children's good future may attract the hatred of the younger generation in the future. On the one hand, they suck blood from the major families, constantly exploit and accumulate a lot of wealth. On the other hand, they use this wealth to absorb some geniuses to join, and the sect becomes more and more powerful and prosperous. But for the cultivator family, not only is the wealth exploited, but the talents of the family are also disappearing, which can be said to be more and more difficult. Many cultivator families have been developing for decades or hundreds of years, but have not been able to develop, and some are still declining. Not only that, every time they fought in the 100,000 mountains, confronted monsters, and confronted demon cultivators, they would recruit cultivators from the cultivator families to charge in the front and try to go to some dangerous areas. Many cultivator families were often injured after the war. Although the Danliang sect also provided compensation strategies, such as giving foundation building pills as compensation if a foundation building cultivator died in battle. But a foundation building pill is not as good as a foundation building cultivator. Taking a foundation building pill only has a 3-level probability of becoming a foundation building cultivator, which is much inferior to a living foundation building cultivator. The Danliang sect, on the one hand, exploited taxes, on the other hand, plundered talents, and on the other hand, suffered losses from wars, constantly consuming the power of the major families. Many cultivator families not only failed to develop, but also declined at a certain stage. Don't they resist? Xuanji asked. Resist? But how? Danliang sect has 3 giant ancestors, and any resistance is courting death. The elder said, we are not resisting the king of hell, but the little ghosts. The little ghosts are the most difficult to deal with. In order to resist those little ghosts of Danliang sect, our Wu family, Yi family, Lu family, and some small families have maintained a tacit understanding. Yuan Xiaoxu's foundation building banquet should not only be held, but also be grand. The poorer you are, the more you can't afford to eat, the more you should dress well, and be in high spirits. Seeing the elder say this, Xuanji could only nod and agree to hold a grand banquet. In order to show the strength of the family, the elder also wrote a letter to Lu Xianwen, an elder of Danliang sect, asking him to return to the family and show up at the banquet to suppress the situation. In order to prepare for the grand occasion, it took a full month to prepare, and the top quality spiritual rice, monster meat, spiritual fruit, spiritual wine, etc. cost more than 2,000 spiritual stones, which would make the family's supply relatively tight and fall into financial difficulties. It feels a bit like swell up, but it must be done. Because if you don't do this, you can't intimidate a group of people. The weaker you are, the more you need to dress neatly and pretend to be cool. On the contrary, those powerful cultivators, because they have strength and confidence, don't need to pretend, but can dress casually and calmly. Danliang sect, in the medicine garden. Lu Xianwen flipped through the letter and sighed. The Lu family is not doing well. I have to go back. Otherwise, the Lu family will collapse, which will not be good for me. He put away the letter and asked for leave directly from the sect elders. After packing up everything, he left the sect and walked towards Changyuan Mountain. He flew on the sword and walked for more than 20 days before reaching Changyuan Mountain. Hello, uncle. At the gate of the mountain, Xuanji met this uncle from the Danliang sect. This uncle left the family for the Danliang sect when he was 12 years old. In the early days, this uncle got some support from the family to gain a foothold in the Danliang sect. Similarly, after this uncle became a foundation building cultivator, he also gave the family some help and helped the family establish a certain network of people in the Danliang sect. In his spare time, this uncle would go home and live for a while. But after his parents passed away, his relationship with the Lu family also faded. You have grown up, Lu Xianwen said dryly, and he was a little unfamiliar with this nephew. But in the unfamiliarity, there was also a hint of surprise. This nephew succeeded in building a foundation after taking the foundation building pill only once, when his family was in decline and resources were scarce. It seems that he has a good talent. The foundation building pill only has a 30% chance of becoming a foundation building cultivator. He succeeded in building a foundation after taking the foundation building pill for the first time, which can be called a genius. In the sect, there are many cultivators who took it 2 or 3 times in a row before they succeeded in building a foundation. Uncle, the speed of cultivation is a bit slow, only the 4th level of foundation building. Xuanji frowned slightly. This uncle was only 30 years old when he was building a foundation, but now he is 110 years old and he is only at the 4th level of foundation building, which is a bit slow. Nephew, the sect has its own advantages, and the family has its own advantages. The sect trains you so that you can work hard. In the Danliang sect, the benefits are very good during the key training period, the tasks are relatively few, and the training time is relatively long, but after entering the foundation building period, the tasks are relatively complicated, and the training time is relatively reduced. I'm considered good, at least before I die, I have a chance to impact the Purple Mansion, Lu Xianwen said with a smile. In the family, it is just the opposite. In the key training period, the tasks are relatively complicated, and the training time is relatively short, but after the foundation building period, the tasks are relatively easy, and the training time is relatively more. This is the difference between the family model and the sect model. It is hard to say whether this model is good or bad. Chapter 45 The banquet begins. The situation of the Lu family is not good recently. If the Lu family is really destroyed, uncle will lose his support in the Danliang sect. Lu Xuanji said, brothers fight together, and fathers and sons fight together. In this world, the most reliable people are fathers and sons. If even relatives are unreliable, who else can be reliable? Can those outsiders be reliable? Lu Xianwen said, uncle, I have no ability. I'm just a person sitting on the bench in the sect. I have limited power in the sect, but if someone wants to touch my Lu family, I will definitely fight to the death. The situation is not that bad. The Danliang sect still has rules. As long as there are rules, we are not afraid. Lu Xuanji said calmly. There are rules, but some people have ways to bypass the sect's rules. It's just a matter of price. Lu Xianwen said, and a trace of worry flashed across his face. Some forces have given up suppressing my Lu family, but some forces still don't let go. Some families let go because of interests, some families take action because of interests. As long as the Lu family exists, it will inevitably conflict with some families and disputes will continue. It doesn't matter. If that moment really comes, our Lu family is not afraid. Lu Xuanji said, with a hint of ruthlessness in his expression. After arriving at Changyuan Mountain and meeting the Great Elder, Lu Xianwen left and went to Xiang Mountain to worship his parents. In Xiang Mountain, the Lu family has lived for 1,000 years, and all the monks who passed away there are buried near Xiang Mountain. When he arrived at his parents' grave, he offered tribute and burned paper. He sat in front of the grave in silence. His parents had been dead for some time, and the memory of his parents in his mind was gradually fading, and their appearance became more and more blurred. After a long time, Lu Xianwen stood up and disappeared. Who is he? On Xiang Mountain, Jin Liaozu stood there and asked. That is a monk of the Lu family. Over the years, there have always been some monks of the Lu family, or mortals, who have come to Xiang Mountain to worship some relatives. The maid Long Zuan said. Worship? Jin Liaozu looked at the foot of Xiang Mountain, a certain area where there were graves of Lu family monks. Many Lu family monks were buried there after they passed away. Some of the tombs had not been cleaned for a long time and were overgrown with weeds. In other tombs, the mounds on top had disappeared and were no different from ordinary grass. Human nature is forgetful. You may remember your parents' tombs, but you may not remember your grandparents' tombs, your great-grandparents' tombs, or the tombs of other relatives. With the decline of the Lu family and the passing of some elders, the number of people coming to Xiang Mountain to worship will decrease until they disappear completely. The banquet was held, with more than 100 tables set up. At the table, there were Lu family monks and invited guests. More than a dozen families that had friendships with the Yi family, such as the Yi family, the Wu family, the Li family, and the Sun family, attended the banquet one after another. Some small monk families only sent a monk in the late stage of key training to attend the banquet. Some families, however, were led by a foundation building monk to attend the banquet. Among the gifts for celebration, some gifts were only a dozen spirit stones, while some gifts reached hundreds of spirit stones. Those with expensive gifts were not given too much courtesy. Those with ordinary gifts were not looked down upon. Gifts were secondary. The main thing was to attend the banquet, which was to give face to the Lu family. Good wine and good meat were served, and they were warmly entertained. After the banquet, Lu Xuanji and Yifixu appeared and took turns to go to the wine table, toasting and chatting for a few words. It was not necessary to have a good relationship, but at least to make a familiar face and cultivate a network of people. The Lu family was full of joy and relief. The elder was over 150 years old and could live for at most 50 to 60 years. If the elder was gone by then, it was still unclear whether Changyuan Mountain could be preserved. At that time, the Lu family cultivators could only become casual cultivators and have no fixed place to live. Now that the Lu family has 2 foundation building cultivators, there are successes. Many low-level cultivators are happy. The Yi family, the Wu family and other cultivator families, however, are in a complicated mood. At the same time, they are asking for some information about Lu Xuanji and Yifixu. The information they can get is limited. When he was young, Lu Xuanji practiced in the family. Later, when the Lu family was destroyed, he left the family and traveled outside for a few years. Not long ago, he took the foundation building pill and became a foundation building cultivator. When he became a foundation building cultivator, many of his peers were only at the 3rd and 4th levels of key training. Although he has practiced for more than 30 years, he does not have a good friend and only hangs out with some elders. As for Yifixu, there is even less news. If it were not for this banquet, many family cultivators would not know that there is such a woman with a different surname in the family. According to the news spread outside, Yifixu was born in a remote village, was discovered by Lu Xuanji, and brought into the Lu family, and became a Lu family cultivator. It only took 25 years to become a foundation building cultivator, which was faster than Lu Xuanji. Looking at the brief and almost worthless information, many cultivators had the urge to vomit blood. I don't know whether to complain that their own information is too backward, or that the Lu family is too good at hiding. The only information that can be obtained is that Lu Xuanji has 3 spiritual roots, while Yifixu has 2 spiritual roots. As for the attributes of their spiritual roots, they were kept secret to avoid being targeted by the enemy. Walking around the wine tables and toasting in turn, Lu Xuanji felt a little tired, but this process had to be followed. Cultivating immortals requires not only closed-door cultivation, but also the ways of the world. After a round of toasts, Lu Xuanji returned to the table and sat down, and Yifixu sat down later. The elder smiled and said, "How do you feel?" "A little tired," Lu Xuanji said, "and a little irritable." The elder smiled and said, "You will become the patriarch in the future and take over some of the family's affairs. Some things are very complicated, but you must be familiar with them and familiar with the family's industry. Forget it. I plan to spend most of my time on cultivation. As long as I become a purple mansion cultivator, the Lu family can be revived again. Otherwise, no matter how much money I make, it can't offset a purple mansion cultivator." Lu Xuanji said calmly, "With the current state of the Lu family, can it accumulate a purple sunjade for me in a few hundred years?" No. When the Lu family was at its peak, the family's accumulation of 200 years could buy a purple sunjade, but not now. The elder said, "That's right. The poor rely on luck, the rich rely on krypton gold." Lu Xuanji said calmly, "The essence of this world is that the stronger the strong, the more wealth they have, the weaker the weak, the less wealth they occupy. Relying on the family's farming and running the industry, it is almost impossible to accumulate enough resources to achieve the purple mansion stage. The only thing to be sure of is to constantly polish the foundation and improve the basics. At the same time, step into the 9th level of foundation building at a faster speed, buy more time, and then impact the purple mansion realm." Chapter 46, The Invitation of Fairy Kingsu. At this time, a woman came over, wearing a white palace dress with a purple round collar, surrounded by gold thread, and a gold thread embroidered pearl ribbon hanging from her waist, with a silver bell at the bottom. She wore red embroidered shoes on her feet and a white gauze hat on her head, with crab apples embroidered on both sides of the hat. There was a red gem in the middle of the hat, and a delicate hairpin was inserted in her bun, and a small golden bell was hanging from the phoenix tail. An ear was exposed under her hair, and there was a jade earring on the earlobe. She was in her 20s, but she had bright eyes and white teeth, delicate facial features, and a melon-shaped face, which was perfectly matched. There was also a flash of arrogance and indifference in her bright eyes. She had a graceful figure, slender and tall, and looked very skinny. Her breasts were large and full of tension. Her skin was as white as snow, as if it was condensed fat, and could be blown away. Her lower body was two slender and round jade legs, and she exuded a charming and intoxicating aura. After Xuanji lost his mind for a moment, he subconsciously looked away. Congratulations, fellow Taoist, the Lu family has given birth to 2 more geniuses. The cold woman spoke, smiling sweetly, with an indescribable charm. Fairy, you are still as charming as ever. The elder smiled. But you have grown old. The cold woman spoke. Yes, I'm old. The elder said, with a hint of sadness. They are of the same generation. When they were young, they went out to train together, and kill monsters together. They have a good relationship. But one of them joined the sect and the other stayed in the family. Gradually, their relationship became a little cold. Xuanji, Xiaoxu, call auntie. This is Fairy Kingsu. The elder said. Auntie. Xuanji immediately called her obediently. Auntie. Yifixu was slightly stunned, but still called her auntie. Good, 2 good children. Fairy Kingsu smiled, as if she was looking at her own children. Because she mainly practiced Taoism, she never got married, but that was why she was particularly fond of her children. Xiaoxu has 2 spiritual roots. It would be a waste of time for her to stay in the Lu family. She should join the Danliang sect. Fairy Kingsu spoke in a soft and indescribably gentle voice. Environment and resources are very important. Without a favorable environment and abundant resources, a genius may be buried. As she spoke, she looked at the great elder. A trace of regret flashed across her face. Xianyi, you have 3 spiritual roots, and are a formation master. If you joined the Danliang sect, you would have already reached the 9th level of foundation building, and would have had 2 chances to reach the Purple Mansion realm. But now, the Lu family is short of resources, and has delayed you. You can only enter the 9th level of foundation building at the age of 170, and you also have 1 chance to reach the Purple Mansion. Xiaoxu has 2 spiritual roots. In the future, there is hope that she can become Purple Mansion or even Golden Elixir. But the Lu family's pond is too small to support this big dragon. The best choice is to join the Danliang sect. The Danliang sect has a 4th grade medium spiritual vein and abundant resources. Not long ago, I greeted Master. If Xiaoxu joins the Danliang sect, it can be guaranteed that Xiaoxu will achieve the 9th level of foundation building before the age of 130, and will have at least 2 chances to reach the Purple Mansion period. The 2nd grade alchemist inheritance will also be opened at a 50% discount. When purchasing Xiang Jade, you can get a 10% discount. When purchasing Purple Mansion Pill, you can get an 20% discount. If you don't have enough contribution points, you can buy on credit. Fairy Kingsu extended an olive branch and issued a recruitment. Such treatment is very favorable, and the elder's eyes lit up when he heard it. Xuanji was also slightly moved when he heard it. On the 4th grade medium spiritual vein, the bonus of building a cave for cultivation far exceeds the 2nd grade spiritual vein of Changyuan Mountain, and the cultivation speed is at least 30% faster. A 50% discount opens the inheritance of a 2nd grade alchemist, which means a stable income in the future. With a stable income and a cave with rich spiritual energy, it means that the cultivation speed is fast, and can enter the 9th level of foundation building at a faster speed, which is extremely beneficial for achieving the Purple Mansion stage. It is like a cultivator in the key training stage. Before the age of 60, the blood and ki are vigorous, the spirit and spirit are perfect, and life is at its peak. The success rate of impacting the foundation building stage is very high, but once you are over 60, the blood and ki are declining, and the success rate of impacting the foundation building stage will decrease accordingly. If you are over 100 years old, then impacting the foundation building stage is certain to die. Similarly, it is best for a foundation building cultivator to strive for the Purple Mansion stage before the age of 200, when the life force and blood are constantly rising. At this time, the success rate is relatively high. After 200 years, when the life force and blood are exhausted, and the age is getting old, the success rate of striving for the foundation building stage will continue to decline. Many foundation building cultivators rarely succeed in striving for the purple mansion in one go. Instead, they may succeed after 2 or 3 consecutive attempts. It can be said that the earlier you enter the 9th level of foundation building, the greater the chance of becoming a purple mansion. Similarly, in the process of exchanging Xiang Jade and Zifudan, there are also different levels. The first level is free exchange, and no spiritual stones or merit points are required. The second level can be credited, exchanged in advance, and repaid afterwards. The third level requires payment of spiritual stones and merit points on the spot, and discounts can be given. The fourth level requires payment of spiritual stones and merit points on the spot. No discounts are given, and you need to queue up. Giving Yifixu the second level treatment can be said to be very sincere by Fairy Kingsu. Yifixu listened, but frowned slightly. Brother, what do you think? Not what I think, but what do you think? Xuanji said, Xiaoxu, you have grown up, and can make decisions for your own future. As if it was not enough, Fairy Kingsu continued, little girl, joining the Danayang sect is not a betrayal of the family, but for the betterment of the family. After joining the Danayang sect, you can give back to the family better, on the basis of not harming the interests of the sect, and in accordance with the sect rules. Providing some benefits to the Lu family is tacitly approved by the sect. If you develop well in the sect, it will also be good for the Lu family. The elder's eyes seemed to light up when he listened. Xiaoxu, joining the sect seems to be better for the Lu family. The fate of the weak is determined by the strong. Just like a random order or policy of the Danayang sect may bring huge benefits to the Lu family, or it may cause the Lu family to fall into a catastrophe. The strong do not need a knife to kill, they can just open their mouths. In the Danayang sect, there are people from the Lu family among the middle and senior levels, which is good for the Lu family. Xuanji sneered after hearing this. After being sent to the sect, Yifixu grew up with the resources of Danayang sect, and was no longer considered a member of the Lu family. After all, Danayang sect worked hard to train her, not to train monks for the Lu family, but in the end, she was mostly to break off the cause and effect with the Lu family, and gradually the relationship with the Lu family faded. Feelings. When you spend more time together, you will naturally have feelings. Similarly, when you don't see each other for a long time, your feelings will naturally fade. There are traps and rhetoric in many words, which can be occasionally listened to as chicken soup for the soul, spiritual victory, etc. But if anyone really takes it seriously, he is a fool. Chapter 47 Rejection. At the banquet, the atmosphere was a bit heavy. Fairy Kingsu was trying to poach people, but she had reasons, and would not tolerate rejection. It didn't seem right to stop others from going to higher places. Brother, do you think it's good or bad for me to join the Danayang sect? Yifixu asked again. Whether I join or not, it won't have much impact on my Lu family. Xuanji said carefully, the Lu family will not collapse with my support. Yifixu nodded and said, brother, I understand. She looked at Fairy Kingsu and apologized. Aunt, I'm sorry. I won't join the Danayang sect, but will stay in the Lu family. Do you know what you will miss out on by doing this? If you join the Danayang sect, you have at least a 5-level probability of becoming a purple mansion, but in the Lu family, the probability of becoming a purple mansion is less than 1 level. Fairy Kingsu said, feeling a little distressed. Yifixu nodded and said, the best outcome of joining the Danayang sect is to become a purple mansion cultivator. But so what? Purple mansion cultivators are only considered middle level in the Danayang sect, and there are some old-fashioned purple mansion elders and some golden core ancestors above them, but in the Lu family, there are only 5 foundation building cultivators, and I'm now a senior one, holding great power. When several elders pass away in a few decades, I will be the great elder, second only to one person, and above 10,000 people. As the saying goes, it is better to be the head of a chicken than the tail of a phoenix. Fairy Kingsu said, the lifespan of a foundation building cultivator is only 240 years, but the lifespan of a purple mansion cultivator is 480 years. If I stay in the Lu family, I will become the head of a chicken, but I will also lose the possibility of further advancement. Yifixu said calmly, back then, I was just a country girl, with no food to eat, and often ate steamed buns with wild vegetables. My longest lifespan was 60 years. But after joining the Lu family, I eat spiritual rice every day, and my lifespan is more than 200 years. Here, every day I live is a profit. If my brother can enter the Purple Palace, we can stay together for 400 years. If my brother fails to enter the Purple Palace and finally dies, what's the point of me becoming the Purple Palace? Living is boring. It's better to accompany my brother, so that we won't be alone. As she said this, a trace of tenderness flashed in her eyes, and she was full of affection. In her eyes, there was only Lu Xuanji. With him, there was the world. If there was no him, what was the meaning of the world's existence? You don't have the heart of a strong man. Your pattern is too small. When you reach the age of 100, you will find that the so-called love is just immortals moaning without illness. We cultivators only have Taoist partners, not husband and wife. The love and pleasure in the world are not as important as longevity. Fairy Kingsu smiled, was very disappointed with Yifixu, and gave up recruiting her. Because Yifixu didn't have the heart of a strong man. On the road of cultivation, spiritual root aptitude is very important, but in the later stage, a firm heart of seeking the Tao is particularly important. Many 3 spiritual roots and 4 spiritual roots have achieved the Purple Palace, or even the Golden Elixir, because of their firm heart of Tao. But some people with 2 or more spiritual roots, because of their unstable state of mind, and lack of the heart of a strong man, fell on the threshold of the Purple Mansion. Yifixu has good qualifications, with 2 spiritual roots of fire and wood, but she is obsessed with the difference between the head of a chicken and the tail of a phoenix, and obsessed with love. She is very unpromising, and has a limited future. There was once a cultivator with poor qualifications, only 4 spiritual roots, but in order to build a foundation, he was willing to be a furnace for a female cultivator. For the Purple Mansion, he used evil secrets to refine himself into a zombie. In order to achieve the Golden Elixir, he directly called his enemy daddy. Many cultivators despised him for having no bottom line, being mean, and having no dignity. But those cultivators who despised him have turned into yellow earth. But this cultivator is still living freely. After talking for a while, Fairy Kingsu left. The other guests left one after another. Soon, Changyu Mountain became quiet. In the study, the elder took out the account book and began to explain the family assets. The Lu family now has 235 cultivators. 150 of them have 5 spiritual roots. 80 of them have 4 spiritual roots. And only 5 of them have 3 spiritual roots. There are 103 cultivators in the early stage of key training, 90 in the middle stage of key training, and 42 in the late stage of key training. For cultivators in the key training stage, the annual salary is 10, 20, or 30 spiritual stones, depending on the strength of their cultivation. The family canteen, medicine subsidies, and so on, cost 7,000 spiritual stones per year. The foundation building cultivators spend 300 to 700 spiritual stones, plus subsidies for elixirs, spiritual rice, etc., which cost 4,000 spiritual stones per year. The family spends 11,000 spiritual stones every year. The family has a hematite mine, with an annual income of 1,500 spiritual stones. It has spiritual fields, spiritual medicines, spiritual beasts, etc., which generate about 9,000 spiritual stones, and various side businesses, which generate about 3,000 spiritual stones. The annual income is about 13,500 spiritual stones. The family now has 30,000 spiritual stones in inventory, as well as 5,000 kilograms of hematite ore, 3,000 kilograms of spiritual iron, about 1 million kilograms of Baiyang rice, and 100 bottles of Baidaniyang income minus expenses. There is a surplus of 2,500 spirit stones every year. Speaking of expenses, the elder said, the surplus of 2,500 spirit stones every year seems to be a lot, but it is actually very little. The price of purchasing a second-grade spiritual tool is between 1,000 and 10,000 spirit stones. It takes 15,000 spirit stones to buy a foundation building pill outside, 200,000 spirit stones to buy Xiang jade, and 150,000 spirit stones to buy the cheaper Zifu pill. If there are some problems in the middle, it costs more. This is the family assets of the Lu family. When it comes to spending money, it always feels insufficient. Throwing down the account book, he looked very helpless. But the problem is not just that. The number of Xiang Jade and Zifu pills sold by Danyang sect is limited, and many times you can't buy them, even if you have money. But if you go to other places to buy them, you may lose your money, and before you can buy anything, you will be killed and robbed of your treasure. The Lu family will be fine. Lu Xuanji comforted. Xiaoxu, you should join Danyang sect, where there are many resources. But in Lu's family, you are like a dragon trapped in a shallow shoal. The elder sighed. Grand Elder, you have 3 spiritual roots, but why do you want to stay in the family? It seems more promising to go to Danyang sect. Yu Fixu asked back. The Grand Elder was silent. If he had joined Danyang sect at that time, he would have been half a step into the Purple Palace, or stepped into the Purple Palace realm. At that time, he might have become a Taoist couple with Fairy King Su, loving each other and enjoying a good life. Instead of being like this now, Fairy King Su is already half a step into the Purple Palace, and there is hope for the Purple Palace in the future, while he is only at the 8th level of foundation building, which is a long way from the Purple Palace. The distance between the two is getting farther and farther, and it is becoming more and more impossible. I can't bear to leave my mother. The Great Elder spoke, as if he was recalling something, as if he thought of some beautiful past events, and couldn't help laughing. My father's aptitude is not good. He only has 5 spiritual roots. At the age of 60, he was only at the 3rd level of key training. My father thought that this would be his life, so he went to a county town in the mortal world to garrison, where he married 18 wives and concubines, hoping to give birth to excellent babies, to bring honor to the family in the future. Most of my father's children have no spiritual roots, or their spiritual roots are not good. Only I was detected to have 3 spiritual roots when I was 6 years old. My father was so excited that he got drunk. When I was 13, I faced 2 choices. One was to join the Danyang sect, and the other was to stay at home. In the end, I stayed at home, because I couldn't bear to leave my father and my mother. Yu Fixu asked, do you regret it? Regret? Of course I regret it. If I had joined the Danyang sect back then, I might have been a purple mansion cultivator now, and married Fairy King Su. The Great Elder smiled, and smiled freely. Regret is regret, but if I were given another chance, I would still give the same answer. I want to ask whether it is better to update them together in the morning, or update them one in the morning, and one in the evening. I feel that there are fewer people collecting them recently. Chapter 48 Mixed Emotions. After saying goodbye to the Great Elder, the two left. Xiaoxu, you have already established your foundation. It is safe, even if you go to Danyang sect. When you reach the foundation building stage, you can no longer possess other bodies. Lu Xuanji said. On the contrary, you will be taken seriously. There are many factions within Danyang sect, and there are constant internal struggles and disputes. If I join Danyang sect, I will inevitably fall into various disputes and calculations. I may become cannon fodder and die in the calculations of some people. It is not as safe and comfortable as the Lu family. Yu Fixu said, very free and easy. Lu Xuanji was stunned. This feeling is like someone would rather be a self-employed person and work for himself than work for a Fortune 500 company and suffer the anger of foreigners. In fact, these are not reasons. The real reason is that I can't bear to leave you. If I join Danyang sect, we won't see each other for 10 or 20 years. At that time, I'm afraid that I will forget you. Yu Fixu said, approaching Lu Xuanji, and the distance is getting closer and closer. From 20 centimeters to 10 centimeters. Finally, they leaned against each other, feeling the heartbeat, the breath so close, and the familiar breath. Yu Fixu seemed to be drunk, as if she was in a dream. Because of you, the world is valuable. Because of you, I feel that I'm alive. Only with you, life is valuable, and I will be happy. If one day, you leave, what is the point of becoming the Golden Pill Patriarch? After saying this, she could no longer endure it, and went forward to kiss him. She took the initiative without hesitation. It was this man who brought her out of the quagmire, and brought her to a brand new world. This man is her light, her sun. In the past, she had always been inferior and silent. But when she entered the foundation building stage, her courage was constantly growing, becoming crazy, and kissing directly. Her face was blushing, and she closed her eyes to hide the embarrassment in her heart. Feeling the kiss and the beauty, Xuanji frowned slightly and was about to push it away subconsciously. After more than 20 years of getting along with each other, because they were too close, it was difficult for Xuanji to feel any excitement or love for Xiaoxu. During these years of getting along, he first raised her as a daughter, later, he raised her as a sister. But it was difficult for them to develop love between men and women. Maybe it was because the distance was too close. Too close, it was difficult to create beauty. He subconsciously wanted to push her away, but at the moment of pushing her away, he stopped. Pushing her away like this would hurt Xiaoxu. Kissing and lingering. After a while, the two separated. Yifixu's face was flushed, and she seemed a little shy, but she was just trying to stay calm. Xiaoxu, you rejected Fairy Kingsu, which is very dangerous. Xuanji began to change the subject, and talked about another incident, as a reminder for her. I rejected her, and the Danliang sect will send someone to kill me. Yifixu said with a smile. That's not the case. The weak kill with knives, and the strong kill with rules. Xuanji said, as if recalling something, and said, the strong make the rules, so they will naturally not break their own rules and slap themselves in the face in order to kill someone. Instead, they will use various rules to kill people. Why can't the cultivation families near the Danliang sect develop? First of all, they keep exploiting the cultivation families in terms of resources. Secondly, they absorb a large number of talents from the cultivation families. Finally, they keep fighting against the monsters and the demons. We, the cultivators of this family, are sent to the front line, to the most dangerous places, to fight the most brutal battles. After each war, the cultivation families suffer heavy losses, and many cultivators are either seriously injured or killed. But can we say that the Danliang sect abuses its power for personal gain and deliberately attacks the cultivation families? No. It is the responsibility of the cultivators to resist the monsters and protect the territory. Besides, there are also cultivators of the Danliang sect fighting in those dangerous areas, and there are also cultivators of the Danliang sect dying. The Danliang sect has also suffered heavy losses. After the death of a cultivator from a cultivation family, a foundation building cultivator will be compensated with a foundation building pill, and a purple mansion cultivator will be compensated with a purple yang jade. In this process, the Danliang sect did things in a reasonable and proper manner, and no one could find fault with the loss. But it seems reasonable, but in fact it is the biggest unreasonableness. Just like the Danliang sect, which recruited cultivators to go to war, use the demon race, to consume the power of the major cultivation families, and consume the opposition within the Danliang sect, did things in a reasonable and proper manner, but this was a naked conspiracy. No one could raise any objections. In other words, the objections could not be raised on the table, and it would be embarrassing to say them out. Brother, I rejected Fairy Kingsu. The next time there is a beast tide, the Danliang sect will send us to some dangerous areas. Yifixu said. This is inevitable. Xuanji said, if the Danliang sect does not suppress the development of those immortal cultivation families, gradually, the immortal cultivation families will inevitably threaten the status of the Danliang sect as a giant. But at the same time, the Danliang sect will also restrain itself from forcing the immortal cultivation families to a dead end, and will do things fairly. Without those immortal cultivation families to share the pressure, the Danliang sect will also suffer great losses. Fortunately, the Yi family, the Wu family, etc. have the Purple Mansion patriarchs sitting in charge, and have dozens of foundation building masters. They are the first to attack the opponents, and reduce the population of the Danliang sect. As for our Lu family, it is not ranked well, and the crisis will be relatively smaller. In order to let Yifixu have an accurate understanding, and not make misjudgments due to prejudice, Xuanji did not overly belittle or discredit the Danliang sect, but gave a relatively objective and fair evaluation. The Lu family has complicated feelings about the Danliang sect. On the one hand, the Danliang sect is an umbrella that protects the Lu family. The Danliang sect is the main force against monsters and demon cultivators. Because of the deterrent existence of the Danliang sect, the Lu family can farm and develop industries in a stable manner. The Danliang sect formulated rules and established order in the 12 counties of Chu state, ending the chaos and disorder in the cultivation world and maintaining relative stability. The competition and infighting among the cultivators are all restricted by the rules, unlike in the past, when they would exterminate families at will, and kill people at will without any order. In this regard, the Lu family should thank the Dandayang sect. But on the other hand, the Dandayang sect is constantly sucking blood from the 12 counties, gathering talents, suppressing some cultivation families, and using war to continuously reduce the population, causing many cultivation families to fail to develop. This makes the Lu family hate it again. The emotional changes need to be carefully considered. For the Dandayang sect, we must grasp a measure. We cannot be too close to it, because we will be eaten and killed, referring to the beautiful country in the previous life. But we cannot be too distant, because the Dandayang sect is the master of nearby forces, and one policy can lead to the rise or decline of countless families. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49 Mobile Phone Upgrade, Beidou Maps. After the banquet, Changyuan Mountain returned to peace. On Changyuan Mountain, where the spiritual energy was the most abundant, Lu Xuanji opened a cave, and Yi Fixu opened a cave, and the two caves were close together. Settling in Changyuan Mountain, they mainly practiced, and other sundries were handed over to outsiders. Although the Lu family declined, and lost the 9-story industry, they still had a spiritual ore, a hematite ore, 3 spiritual mountains, and more than a dozen shops. All these industries were handed over to the late-stage key training cultivators in the family to take over. As for the foundation building cultivators in the family, they mainly practiced. Low-level cultivators worked hard to make money to support high-level cultivators. High-level cultivators worked hard to improve their cultivation and protect low-level cultivators. In the instructions of the Great Elder, the foundation building cultivators should not leave Changyuan Mountain easily, for safety reasons. Even if they want to leave, they should leave quietly and travel together to avoid being sniped by the enemy halfway. In the cave, Lu Xuanji opened the storage bag. In the storage bag, he poured out spiritual ore, hematite, black iron crystal, mithril, refined gold, etc., about dozens of materials. The phone is going to be upgraded. Lu Xuanji summoned, and the phone appeared on his palm. The Xiaomi phone is about the size of a palm, with a black screen and a silver flashing overall, which looks elegant and noble, with a simple and majestic shape. At this moment, the screen of the phone changed. Some words appeared. The phone is being upgraded. Upgrade now or postpone it? Upgrade now. At this moment, a black vortex appeared on the phone, and immediately swallowed up all the spiritual ore on the ground. Then, the phone was changing, and entered the shutdown state. The phone is shutting down. After 3 days, the system upgrade is completed. Just like that, the phone fell silent. Time was passing. About 3 days later, the phone began to restart. A water bottle mark appeared on the screen, showing the digital format, 1%, 4%, 10%, 20%, 89%, finally reached 100%. The phone was changing, the screen was flashing, and it was upgrading. A blue lotus appeared, exuding tranquility and peace. Swish. After a while, the Xiaomi phone returned to calm, turned into a stream of light, and entered the sea of consciousness, lying dormant. Lu Xuanji checked the Xiaomi phone. The phone was upgraded to become a second-grade spiritual tool. After the upgrade, the storage and computing functions of the phone increased. Document management, the number of books that can be stored increased from 100,000 to 300,000. Destiny deduction, the breadth and depth of deduction are increasing. In addition, a function was added, Beidou Map. Beidou Map is mainly a map function. Click the screen and a world map will appear immediately. There are simple terrain, river distribution, and endless sea on it. The area of the sea is much larger than that of the land. Then, the scope continued to narrow, and the location was on a continent in the east. It narrowed again, and 100,000 mountains, Chu State, U State, endless forests, etc. appeared on the map. Many of them were not marked with names on the map. They belonged to uninhabited areas, with monsters, insects, etc. running rampant. As for the area where humans settled, it was only a small part on the map. The map was shrinking, and as it shrank, the mountains, rivers, terrain, etc. on the map became more accurate. When the map shrunk to 100 miles, Changyuan Mountain, Lingshan, Medicine Garden, rivers, lakes, walking people, etc. were clearly shown on it. Everything was clearly visible. A small dot also appeared. The white dot represented a mortal. The red dot represented a key training cultivator. The yellow dot represented a foundation building cultivator. The blue dot represented a purple mansion cultivator. As for the giant cultivator, it could not be displayed. Beidou map. This is to help me know myself and the enemy and win every battle. Whether it is a big battle or running away, there are options. Xuanji flashed a trace of joy. Suddenly, I thought of the experience of going to the 10,000 mountains a few years ago. At that time, when I entered it, the mobile phone, destiny deduction, was frantically warning. Because a monster beast came to explore, his information was captured by the monster beast. At the same time, the monster beast's information was also captured by the mobile phone, and the mobile phone gave corresponding reminders based on the level of this information. It is passive. But now, relying on Beidou maps, he can actively conduct exploration and get intelligence in advance. Will those monsters find out if I use Beidou maps to conduct exploration? Xuanji asked. No, hearing the answer from the phone, Xuanji breathed a sigh of relief. Playing with the phone again, Xuanji found that the three functions of the phone are more powerful when used in combination with each other. For example, destiny deduction requires a huge amount of knowledge reserves to be able to deduce. The strength of the deduction depends in part on the information reserves in document storage. Destiny deduction and Beidou maps can be used in combination to actively conduct exploration and store enemy information in advance. After getting familiar with the functions of the phone and playing for a while, Xuanji began to try destiny deduction. What life magic weapon should I refine? Xuanji input the question. In the key training stage, there is no need to refine life magic weapons, and spiritual tools can be purchased at random in some stores. But in the foundation building stage, many cultivators will try to refine life magic weapons. The natal magic weapon is the most suitable for cultivators and can be upgraded continuously with the upgrade of cultivators. When controlling the natal magic weapon to fight, it saves 2 layers of true essence compared to the same type of magic weapon, and at the same time, increases the power by 2 layers. Host, you can try to refine the natal magic weapon. Magic weapons are divided into 2 categories. One is mainly attack oriented, and the other is mainly auxiliary. Mainly attack oriented can be divided into melee type, speed type, strength type, sneak attack type, etc. Mainly auxiliary can be divided into escape type, luck type, calculation type, amplification type, healing type, storage of true essence type, insight type, etc., which has limited improvement on the host's combat power, but can increase the host's other attributes. Suggestion: the host can refine wing type magic weapons, which can increase the host's escape technique and use it to save life at critical moments. Only by surviving can there be a future. Suggestion: the host can refine the cauldron type. People take food as their heaven. The cauldron was originally a tool for making food, but it can later be transformed into a divine tool for offering sacrifices to the heaven. Using the tripod as a magic weapon, you can suppress your own luck and make yourself lucky. Suggestion: the host can refine an amplification artifact, which can temporarily increase the host's explosive power and kill the enemy. Suggestion: the host can refine a combination of magic weapons and refine a set of magic weapons. This set of magic weapons can be used for close combat, sneak attacks, escape, hide secrets, suppress luck, increase combat power, heal injuries, store true essence, and gain insight into the heavens. Adults do multiple choice questions, and children naturally want all of them. Choose 4. Xuanji immediately made the decision. The deduction continues, and it will take about 3 months. Chapter 50: Big Data Deduction, the Innate Tower Fetus. It took a long time. Xuanji frowned slightly. He was a little impatient, but he still waited patiently. 3 months later, the deduction was over, and the result appeared. The mobile phone has limited information storage and limited deduction capabilities. Only 30% of the deduction was completed, and the rest is still being improved. Looking at this result, Xuanji breathed a sigh of relief. This proves that Destiny deduction is not omnipotent and still has certain limitations and shortcomings. This is a good thing. If Destiny deduction is omnipotent, he would be worried. Liho sword. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.